What's up, guys? Tim also with DragBoss Garage. Welcome to the channel. We already got 20 guys here in the house, and that's pretty damn good. I want to thank everybody for being here tonight and taking time from your families. Thank you very much. I also want to thank you guys for helping Darin and I build this channel to 30,000 subscribers. To me, that's a milestone. I never in my wildest dreams thought I would ever hit that number. And with Facebook, there's 23,000. So we're kind of growing, and a lot of people appreciate this. And I appreciate you, as does Darin. So thank you, guys. Want to thank my daughters, Elena and Izzy. I think Elena's watching. She may comment on here. So thanks, Elena, for being here and giving me time to do this. Thank you very much. I'll give you some more news, so to speak. I have a live chat on Friday, tomorrow, with John Wilborn. So I'm going to be in the hot seat where Chad's sitting. He's going to interview me. I have no idea what's so interesting about me. But he said he thinks it'll be a great time. And I said, hey, let's do it. You know, I think that helps build people's channel, and it lets you see who that person is that you're seeing. And I think that's important. On Sunday, we got Diamond Pistons. Mike Knowles from Diamond Pistons will be here. We're going to do a live chat with him about that. Some announcements. I just put up part 3 of the APD 16-degree big block Chevy head for the members. Knowledge is power. So that's your video. I put that up. We're going to have live chats, Darin and I, on 214. So that'll be an open chat for everybody. And then on 228, it's going to be Knowledge is Power, members only. And that's the Australian Pro Stock Part 4. So thanks, guys. I appreciate that and you being here. Let's see who's here. And then we're going to bring our guest on board. We got Force Fed. Thank you for being here. I'm excited. Thanks, guys. We are too. I am especially. Terry Grover, thank you. Yes. Awesome to see you here. Oh, that was me talking. But there he is. Wow. 2 nights in a row. Happy birthday to you. So thank you. Bart Taylor, he's a member of our Knowledge is Power. He's not going to be here. But he races, and I don't know if Chad will talk about it, does some head porting on like 6-cylinder type stuff. So he's into that. How else do we have? Charles, it's good to see you here. Another head porter. Thank you very much. Ty Hewitt, he's here. Hi, Charlie. Tim, where are you having from Diamond? No, it's Mike Knowles, not Ron. So he'll be here. But thank you so much. Great that Chad is doing this. And it is great. You know, I'm very happy that he's taking the time to do this. And AC's here, so thank you. Here's another guy that does a lot of machine work, Ed's Machine. You might know him, Chad. Great guy. Thank you for being here. Turner Wrenching Channel, good to see you here. Thank you. LCXU 1051, good day from Australia. I have a question. Already a question. So we'll save some of the questions for the end, and we'll see, because I already see that burr finish, and I like seeing that. I don't know. I just got hooked on that after I saw that. So let's make sure nobody else has. Perfect. Shelton, it's good to see you here. Shelton Bars, you know him. So he and Terry Wilkes are going to come on and do a live chat. So he's probably watching you, Chad, to see how to do it. So it'll be good. So that's all the housekeeping stuff or the announcements. Let's get down to the meat and potatoes. So, you know, I've known Chad for a long time. And I'll tell you, as long as I've known him, it's only this first week that I've learned to say his name correctly. Mm-hmm. Okay? Because where I'm from in New York, that's Speier. Mm-hmm. And it took me the longest. I had to write it down, Speier, Spy. I would write Spy because I didn't want to make myself look like a fool. So it took a while to get that right.
Yeah, so, I tell everybody that crazy Jackie Speier in the Senate is my crazy aunt.
Is it really?
I don't know her. She's not related.
Just the name. I got it.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I used to post stuff on Facebook where I'd say, I don't agree with her, but she's still my aunt.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, people was, but she pronounces it Speier.
And it gets people going too. You know, when they hear something like that.
Yeah.
Last night I did a chat with John Calvert, and my mic was doing this weird stuff. Like you could hear the static. Someone had mentioned it a couple times. So I ended up taking the USB port out, blowing out with air, and sticking it back in. So comment if it's doing pretty good. Chopper Scott's here. He's on board. Mark Bushy from Australia. John Wilborn, good to see you. So when I do a chat like this, I think what's important for the guys that are here, we got 75 people already here. That's a quick turnout. Is I like to give guys a relationship of where they are in the hierarchy of life, so to speak, and you, the guest. Like I'm 60. You're what, 58 or something?
58. Mm-hmm.
So we're all in the same boat. A lot of us that are into this kind of thing are in that age bracket from the 45 up. You know, it's not as much as the guys that are in the 30s. You know, and that's what we're doing. We're going to try to make this information available for them to try to light a fire under these young guys that see this stuff because, you know, how long are you going to port, Chad? Another 15 years?
Yeah, maybe.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It ain't going to be 20 years. No way. You know, your body takes a beating.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, even with Darin, tell me about wrist pain and neck pain and all that kind of stuff.
Everything hurts.
Does it really?
Oh, yeah.
Just poured an intake manifold. It's the only thing I've ever ported. I'm telling you, get into that zone. But by the time you're done, your hands are vibrating. You can feel your wrist starting to ache. You know, when you're sitting there like that, it's like you should get tuned to
I lay in bed at night and watch reels on Facebook, and it's weird how you like watch one and then it's like a plethora. I'm into chiropractors.
Okay.
Yeah, and all those big nasty pops, and I'm like,
yeah,
I want to go do that. I used to do it all the time, but I got hurt one time. He hurt me one time, and I've been afraid to go back. But
you got to watch out, man. I mean, I've seen chiropractors in the ER. I've seen them send people to us with cervical fractures.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, some old lady, 65 or 70, with, you know, osteoporosis. Yeah. You can't go manipulating that spine like it's, you know, 32-year-old.
Yeah, exactly. Scary.
And you may know this guy here. He's on here. Hi, Joel DeBose. Good to see you here. Darian Houston, he's a racer. It's good to see you here. Thank you so much. It says, good evening, gentlemen. Tim, you're bringing in some heavy hitters on the channel, really starting to expand and take off. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Tim Hilliard from Optimum Performance and Mustangs. Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening to you, too. Ricky's House of Crap. He's been here 2 nights in a row. Wow. Hey, Tim and Chad from Texas. Yes, it's good to see you here. What's this guy say? Frankie Ford. Hey, everything hurts. Amen. Yes, we know that. You're in the same bracket, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Fulpers here. My shop has ported over 6,000 sets of Pontiac Edelbrock heads. 6,000. I didn't even know they made 6,000. There you go. You got to read this one, and then we'll keep going. The pain is real.
Fact.
Damn right, man. No doubt. Mike Cranston's here. Good afternoon. He's from New Zealand. So really a ton of people come to this channel. As little as I am, you know, like you said, there are a lot of heavy hitters or I don't know how it works. It comes from just one person talking to another. I make phone calls. Like I called David Rear today. So I've got to talk with him.
That's
you
cool.
know? Yeah. You know, I've talked to him before a couple times.
He's a good guy.
Tony from BS wants to be on. You know, I talked to him the other day.
Cool.
And then there's a couple other guys. Adger Smith. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah, I know Adger.
Yeah, he's got a history.
He was a tech guy for Engine Masters.
Yeah, well, he's got some stories to tell about Engine Masters.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be great. So let's get some of Chad's history and see where we're going with this. We already have 94 people. So you're a pretty popular person, Chad. Very popular. You have your own Facebook page, right?
Yes.
How many followers do you have on there? Do you know?
Get close to 30.
30,000.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
It's crazy. It's like they open the floodgates and you get a whole different portion of the public. You know what I mean? So I don't know if it's a Facebook thing or I don't know. It never really, when I started it was just for me letting people know that I got their stuff done. And here's a picture, and it's on its way because it was free hosting.
Good point.
Yeah, that's what I started it, and then all of a sudden, because back then all that stuff cost.
Oh hell yeah!
And I'm like, what the heck, you know? And but then it really took off, you know. And I'm fortunate. I mean, there's a lot of good guys. Don't get me wrong. And I you know, and I'm a firm believer in if you just get one guy that gets something, then it's all worth it. That's the way I look at it.
You mean they get something they're not happy with? You mean?
No. I mean, as far as if you're saying something technical, or you're showing a picture, or just one guy sees something that they can apply, or they learn something, it makes it all worth it. So I that one guy could change things. You don't know. So I truly believe that everything that I have was given to me, not knowledge wise, was freely given. So
right.
I see some guys like, I worked my butt off and took me a while to learn this, and I'm not sharing. And I think that all comes from Darin and Rear Morrison, and then, you can tell someone how to do something, you can show them how to do something, but until they actually do it, there's margins. So you're not giving away anything. You're just really not. And there's more than one way to do it too. So.
Well, and that's why we have that membership on our YouTube channel, because Darin wants to give it away. I mean, we're going to be here in 20 years probably. I hate to think like that, but for the most part, we might not be. And who's going to be able to get this information?
Right.
Joel's doing a similar type thing, and Joel DeBose thinks the same thing. This is, I want to make a repository of information. Everybody I can bring on and tell your story, because Chad Speier in 20 years may not even be around. And if you can go back and see this video, or you can go back and look at your work on Facebook, the media, whatever. You have a channel too, don't you?
Yeah, I'm 6,000 followers, I think, on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's important, and that's kind of where we're at. And Darin's not afraid to share it. You're not afraid to talk about it.
Right.
But until you have someone showing you, or you do it, you ain't gonna figure it out from a picture, or look. You might have a little bit of an idea, but not much.
You're not.
So, I like to think about where I came from in this whole scheme of things. And I always talk about 75 when I was 10. That's when I started to get into cars. At 10 years old, neighbors had some and that kind of thing. I don't like to tell the same story over, but that's about the only story I got. So your story, you got into cars how? Was your old man, he was into cars?
Yeah, my dad. I mean, the story goes that my mom was having a hard time going into labor, and they were out street racing with a 62 409, and that's the night I went into labor, or she went into labor. If he was here, he'd tell you the story. So he was a gearhead. My dad was a gearhead. I mean, he always had. I mean, I drove an all original 69 SS 396 Chevelle to high school. So I drove we had a cherry powder orange 69Z. So we grew up around cars, but it was about 16-ish. Well, it started. My dad. We lived in a small town called Lyons, Kansas.
Okay.
He had a couple service stations, and a guy here in Hayes had a new car store, and my dad was literally buying new cars, taking them back to Lyons and selling them.
Okay.
And Herb Lundgren was the name of the dealership. It was like, Ernie, you just need to come to Hayes. So 4th grade, we moved to Hayes. So all through, my younger years, my dad worked at a new car Chevy store. So I got to see new Camaros, It was awesome. Still, one of my friends to this day, I met in 4th grade. We're still friends. I talk to him today. So our dads worked together. So I was probably 15 or 16, and my dad was always buying and selling cars, and he bought another service station. So all through high school, my dad had a Kerr-McGee and sold a few cars on the side, and I worked there all through high school. But so and the nice thing about him being a gearhead or a car guy is like we ordered a new 84 442 Oldsmobile.
Yep.
So we drove that, new trucks, this and that. But about 16-ish, I thought I wanted to go racing. So it was a 68 Camaro, and kind of put an engine in it, took it down, and I'm like, I kind of really like this. And I think both my parents thought, it'd be a whole lot safer on the racetrack. So my dad had a good friend that was actually in Lyons, had a 66 Nova. So we bought it, bracket raced it for a while, and I'm like, I want to go faster. So I I was probably 18 at that time.
Okay.
18. He bought, it was a pretty famous car. It was a Carcraft cover car, but Danny Davis built a 66 all black Nova. It was all black and it had Montague wheels on it with gold wheels. So it was a super stock car. So that was legitimately my first race car. So I was 18 years old, had that car. Great Bend, which was the home of the first Nationals. We'd go there and bracket race. And I had a good friend, also from Lions, was talking about doing this division racing. And I'm like, I don't know what it is. You know, I'm a young kid. And he's like, you need a super gas car. I'm like, okay. So I ended up trading that Nova for a all-round tube 82 Corvette, and I went super gas racing. So I probably went to, I'd say that year probably 5 or 6.
Okay.
Again, I'm under 20 at the time. So here I am, truck and trailer drive. I mean, I pretty much went everywhere by myself. My dad would go with me every once in a while. But I decided I kind of want a new car. And back then you could buy a car worth the money. I mean, it was a lot of money back then, don't get me wrong, but there was a guy in Wichita, Jim White Race Cars, and in 88, I give him some money to build me a new Oldsmobile Forenza. But the problem was I wanted to run comp. That was my goal. So one trip down there, I'm like, Dad, we really need to go by Patterson, because Patterson was the guy. Well, it was Patterson and Martin Machine back then. So we went there one weekend when we went to check on the car, and that's the first time that I met Darin. So I was probably 18. He must have been about 20. So that was the first time in Wichita that I met Darin. But things that I started buying parts. So I was probably the only guy out there that was running super gas with a dark Buick head. I mean, that was the ticket back then for comp. So I had a sheet metal manifold running super gas because I couldn't afford it, you know. And one thing led to another, and started going to the races. And like I said, I wanted to run comp, but I had no machining experience. My dad was basically into cars, you know, and had a service station. But long story short, I think it was probably 91, yeah, probably 91. I moved to Denver, and I was good friends with Nick Ferry, which Nick Ferry went on to do great things. But so we'd travel together and we'd run super gas, and we did a lot of trips together. Actually, it was quite fun. And he, I had met Melanie Troxel, and I spent, I'd say I moved there in 91. When I first moved to Denver, I lived with her and her parents.
The Top Fuel racer? Yeah,
exactly. And I needed a job. I wanted to move out there. I mean, I was going out there and staying for a week at a time. And Nick said, come by Madcap. And I'm like, all right. So they were out on Chambers Road in Denver, and V Gaines had just bought Madcap, and they were going in that transition period. And I didn't know any of the guys there, and it was Dave Capriotti is the guy that owned it. He's like, you need a job, don't you? And I'm like, yeah, I really want to move here. And he gave me a job. And the cool thing was back then they were building a brand new shop, and what we were hired to do, me and another guy were hired. They wanted to be WD for everyone. So, and I'm going to say it was probably 92. We went to PRI, and our goal, our job was to be master WD with everybody. And we'd say, what's the budget? And he's like, there is no budget. We spent millions of dollars.
Wow.
To get another guy. We had so many parts in that place when we moved. Guys like Steph would call us and say, hey, I sent you guys over 10 oil pans. I really need one back. Can you send it to this guy for me? Sure, no problem. So we had parts. So, but the beauty of the Madcap deal was we had free reign to do whatever we wanted.
Wow.
They had 2 dynos. They had a CNC machine. That's when they first started coming out. So long story short, I ended up moving out there, and Melanie and I bought a house together, and she was running circle track.
Okay.
And one of the things I did was V had a TRE Buick headed 304-inch small block, which they were 750s back then.
Yep.
And he goes, I'll make you a smoking deal on it. So I'm like, well, okay. So I bought it, put it in the Forenza, and I ran B Econ Walden, ran comp with it. So it wasn't real fast. I ran probably 45 under. And Melanie's dad, she was doing the circle track deal, and Melanie's dad's like, I got to get her out of that car. I don't want her circle track racing. And I'm like, okay. Well, she drove the Forenza for probably a year. And he come up to me one day and he's like, hey, I kind of want her in a dragster. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, let's build a new dragster. I'm like, okay. So he got a hold of Jerry Fritz, which Jerry Fritz was a chassis builder out there, built a brand new dragster. So I have this Forenza sitting in the garage. We had this house together. And I go, what am I going to do with this Forenza? And he goes, well, sell it and buy parts. So that's what we did. So I told him, I said, let's, we'll do the car. We'll do the car, and I'll sell the car, and I'll build a new engine, because that was the beauty of Madcap. So Big Ferry, yeah. I mean, I would go in even after work. Nick and I'd be the only two there till 1, 2 in the morning. Well, it just so happened that V was hired. I mean, there were a lot of good people in that shop. Darin
was there, yeah.
Yeah. So that's where so him and I were instant friends because we were Kansas guys, But we had John Dennison, which later on went to work for Richard Childress. We had Nick. We had a couple other guys that went on, So the shop had a lot of talent. But the beauty was we could do whatever we wanted to do. Wow. So I took this money. I bought a block. Nick showed me how to put it in the bore the block, poured it, everything. So Nick was literally the one that showed me how to build an engine, do all this stuff. So we'd stay there till 2, 3 in the morning. I mean, we just wouldn't leave. And so the Madcap was really known back then for V6. They had a really good V6 Buick program. Okay. So they were kind of into the dark Buick stuff. So bought a new set of cores. Darin, those guys would be looking for me at, where's Chad? Oh, he's back there. I'd be back there by Darin, on the flow bench or whatever. And it really interests me, it had my attention, so the long story short, I ended up building everything on this engine, this comp engine, and put it on the dyno, and it made like 725, which is really good back then. Come about 97, so like 91 to 97, Melanie and I were pretty much done. She wanted to go top fuel racing. So I'll remember like back of my hand. She was like, I got some good news. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, I think I know what I want to do. And I'm like, okay. She goes, I want to go top fuel racing. I'm like, awesome. I'm happy for you. I'm like, what do we do with the house and stuff? She goes, well, this is the problem. I'm like, what's the problem? She goes, you're not invited. And I'm like, okay. We had race cars. We had motors. We had a house. We had a brand new truck. We had a brand new trailer. I mean, it was.
And that's heartbreaking, Chad. I'm telling you.
I wasn't. Yeah. So I went to Madcap one day, and I'm like, you know what? There's too many chiefs and not enough Indians. Darin was long gone by then. Too many chiefs, not enough Indians. I need a change of scenery. So they said, well, V had just bought Michael Giannone, which was MGP connecting rods.
Yep.
And I'm like, I want to go there. And I went in and talked to Michael, and he's like, yep, come on over. So I went over there, and I was there for 6 months. The house finally sold. I'm like, I got to get out of here. I got to go home. So I moved back to Hayes, which was probably in early 97. So I'm here. I'm in Hayes for probably 2 or 3 months, and the phone rings, and it's Giannone. And he's like, I'm in Colorado Springs now. I opened up a new company called GRP. I'm like, okay, because they were having a war. It was ugly. Somebody sued somebody. I don't know. I tried to say it.
Yeah.
So he's like, I actually had a friend that I hung around with who actually lived in Colorado Springs, and I'm like, this might work well. So I said, what the hell? So I went to Colorado Springs and went to work for GRP. I was probably there for a year. He was small. We had 2 machines, 3 guys. Basically, the problem was he worked my ass off. I'd go in at 8, and I wouldn't get home till 12:30 in the morning.
Wow.
Because it was 3 of us, and we were shipping so many rods, and he didn't want to hire any more help, and I basically got burned out. So I said, I got to go home. So that was probably like late 98. So I had gotten rid of all this race car stuff, and I got home and I told my dad, I go, Dad, I want to go racing again. He's like, I had money from the house and I had money from all the stuff that we had together. So I got to go hold of Fritz, and we built another car, and it was another Jerry Fritz, and it was a B Econo dragster. I went to several races with it, built the engine, did all the stuff, ported the heads, did all that, and it was probably right at the beginning in '99, and I still had friends in Denver. So a friend of mine and him went out to Denver to visit some friends, and I went to a what the hell was it back then? Anyway, went to a bar.
Okay.
Met another girl. Long story short, 3 months later, we got married.
Wow.
I'm not Dr. Phil, and I don't claim to be, but I don't recommend it. We're still married, which is good, but yeah, I don't recommend that. So I get back, and she moves to Hayes, and I have this dragster, and I'm like, you know what? We need to buy a house. So I sold all that shit. I sold it all.
Wow.
Bought a house.
And you got 2 girls too, right? Macy.
Yeah. We had one in 02 and one in 03.
Okay.
So about 02 runs around. I was still, at that time, we were still, I and another childhood friend, my dad had his own car lot. Him and a buddy put in a car lot. Well, I had like a detail shop doing minor engine works, stuff like that, selling a few cars on the side. And my buddy comes up to me one day and he's like, we need to get in the car business. And I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, we build a brand new building, set in like 70 cars, him and I did. And things were okay, but it was like 2002 and the market was kind of weird, and I found myself in the shop doing stuff I like to do, porting, that kind of deal. I wasn't doing it full time or anything. I was just doing odds and ends. And 2002 rolls around and I'm like, I want to go comp racing. My dad's like, you're crazy. And I'm like, no, I'm at that time, I don't know how old I was. I go, and we're not getting any younger. So long story short, got a hold of Fritz again, built a 32 Bantam. I was going to run G altered automatic, which was a 4-cylinder. So I bought an SB2 head, take it to the back of the shop. I poured it up. I'm like asking, there were some things I didn't understand. So I went to Speed Talk one day and I had posted a question. This was like 2002.
Okay.
I get a response from Darin. And I'm like, holy shit, I haven't talked to Darin in years. He's like, send me that head. Let me look at it. He was at Rear Morrison at the time. I'm like, okay. So I sent it to him and he calls me and says, it's pretty good. He goes, you could probably do this full time. He goes, but it's too big. I'm like, okay, well, that was my question because I was thinking V8, not 4-cylinder.
Right.
So I go, what do I do? And he's like, buy a new head, put seats in it, send it to me. I'm going to run the program that I had for Junior, which was Dale Junior.
Yeah.
It'll be perfect. I'm like, okay, then what do I do? He goes, then you hop in your car and you come to Arlington and we'll hand finish it. I'm like, okay. So I sent the head to Darin. I went to Arlington. We hand finished it. And I'm sitting there talking. He's like, you need to port heads, dude. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. And he goes, I'll help you all I can. I'm like, okay. All right. So I didn't think anything of it. Got this comp car together and honestly had 5 runs on it. And that year, Jason Cohen and who was the other guy? He won the championship running the same class. J. Econo Walter with a 4-cylinder. They banged the index almost 2/10. And I'm like, holy shit, man, I'm going to have to spend another $25,000 to get competitive. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I'm done. I had 5 runs on it. I sold everything and I decided to go full-time head porting. So I bought 2 brand new knee mills. I bought a bunch of equipment with all that money from that race car.
Yeah.
I started porting full time in 02. So Darin was really the one that pushed me to the point of doing it full time, and the thing that I learned too back then was you can ask 4 guys, you're going to get 4 different answers, and I found, and I still talk to them to this day, Larry Moe, Darin, Dennis Wheat, those guys, and they all have one thing in common. They all believe in the pitot tube, and I've never strayed from that thinking. It's got me where I'm at right now. It never let me down, and I would literally, I went to Darin's school, obviously, and, I'd get home and I'd be working on something and I'd send him a message and I'm like, blah, 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 blah. And he'd reply back, "You're thinking, aren't you?" I'm like, yeah, I'm thinking. He's like, "You get it. You're getting it." But the cool thing is he never say, "This is what you need to do." He'd say, "This is how you have to handle it. How you get there is up to you." I'm like, that makes total sense. So yeah, made you think. Mm-hmm. So that's how the whole thing started was, I had a desire to go comp racing. It kind of all worked out. I went to Madcap because I thought, I can go comp racing now. I'm gonna be working in a machine shop, and then life hits you, kicks you in the nuts and does whatever it does. But so then just throughout the years, even since then, I've never really built engines for anybody, just done my own stuff, and then the 23 degree, I was always just that's what made me happy. And I think Darin was probably the one that put that over the hill, because I remember I still have the email. It's probably 2005. And I'm like, "Darin, what's it going to take to make 800 horsepower with a 23 degree?" He's like, that's just stupid. It's so much easier with a 15 or an 18 degree. And I'm like, I know, but that's what I want to do. And it just kind of went from there, which it's kind of funny now that I think back on it. But then the super stock stuff, and that's a whole nother story too, which I started doing that stuff, and I just started doing the super stock stuff for some local guys. So I started posting some pictures, and the next thing I know, I get a phone call, and it's FJ, which is FJ Smith, which is up in Canada, and he's the guy. I mean, he builds race cars, and and I started doing heads for him, and now I'm 30 sets, 40 sets later, which,
wow,
they're a lot of work, but it's what I want to do. It's what I like to do, But
did you ever get to the point though where you were like, "Man, I don't know if I can get this. I want to be a porter. I got the concepts down, basics, but like Darin says, he didn't know what he was doing for 10 years. All of a sudden, then stuff starts to click."
Mm-hmm.
Did you kind of have an epiphany?
Yeah, no, and I think that's where Darin came in. I think that, I would owe it all to him, because he helped me with all that. You know what I'm saying? Whereas he had to make all those mistakes. The only thing I know, I had that self-doubt. And I remember the first couple things that I boxed up and got ready to ship, I was scared shitless. I didn't want to send it. I didn't want to send it to the people. I'm like,
really?
It scared the hell out of me. I didn't want to do it. I would send stuff to Rim Morrison, and I'd say, "Flow it, see what you think." And he'd reply back, "Well, if I didn't know any better, I think I did that." I'm like, okay, well, and it wasn't never really because I had once something of his here to copy. It was just, I jumped in feet first, and I always made it a habit, because I had like 47, or I have 47 CNC programs, but I've never been to one to like take someone else's program and tweak it, have it digitized, and call it my own. So I got in the habit of like, and if you can go back, look on Facebook, here's a master. I made it a point, because I figured if you can't do it, you shouldn't be doing it. If you've got to steal or take somebody else's stuff or tweak it and make it your own, I never did. I just never got into that, you know, and you know, and I believe, you know, we changed the market on the 23 degree stuff, and that all came by it all came by chance. And the story goes is I knew I wanted some CNC programs because really at the time all that was out there was AFR, and another guy that I just got familiar with online was Bryce Mulvey at Dr. J. And I was new, he was new. I was probably only 5 years into full time. And he calls me one day and he goes, "We really ought to do this together. Why fight each other? Why?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that makes sense." So he did a port, I did a port. He'd send me his, I'd send him that. We came up with our brainstorm. We send everything to Darin. Darin floated, Darin did this, Darin did that, and we came up with our stuff. And then Bryce, I think just, you know, that went on for maybe 4 or 5 years. And out of that deal, basically the V2.5, which is the 227 port, was the original AF or the original Airwolf port that just got some tweaks. But Bryce decided he wanted to do something different, so we kind of parted ways, and I decided to do my own thing. But that's how that all came about. I mean,
like, where did the V come from? V factor. Like, how does that?
So basically, I like Eric. People had always, and if Eric was on, he'd tell you the same. People would pit Eric Weingartner and I against each other. Okay. I think that's just nature. Well, Chad said, and I just think that's it, and yeah. One day I was talking to him. One day he made a post on Yellow Bullet, and we were talking about flow, and somebody made a smart ass remark, and I'm like, "Yeah, but you got to remember, it's all about the velocity factor." And I'm like, "V factor."
There it is.
Thank you. And that's how I came up with the name.
Okay.
And then actually another thing too is I'm a big Van Halen guy. So if you look at the V factor the way it is, the V and the F is shaped like Van Halen.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, so that's where that came about. In fact, the guy and I that had the car lot together, our business was called Eruption Properties.
Really?
So, yeah. So, but yeah, so that's how that all came about, and then I probably, I don't know, I'd have to go back. I probably have 300 sets of those out.
Do you really?
Of the V factor stuff before, and then what happened was I don't have a CNC. I don't want a CNC. I catch some flack for it. I just don't have time. It's a full-time job. Sure. The shop isn't big enough. There's not enough power out here. It's endless. Okay. So I had the same guy, which was Jason Schultz. Jason worked for Slocco. I used him from 2002 to 2021. He was the only guy I used. And we had a great relationship, and I would spend probably $15,000 a month with him, CNCing.
Yeah.
And I think he got burned out, and he called me one day and he goes, "Got some bad news." I'm like, "What's that?" He's like, "I think I'm done." I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "I want to give you first shot at the machine." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, okay." Because I had 47 programs on it. And I'm like, "Okay." So I actually made it happen. It was going to happen. And then something happened to where he decided he wanted to sell all the business. So he had a Surdy, he had all kinds of equipment. He wanted to sell the business as a whole, and I didn't want it. So I got thinking about it, and I'm like, I didn't want to go through the grief of finding someone else, because the worst thing I worry about is you give it to the wrong guy and the wrong guy gives it to everybody else.
Yeah.
So I had made the comment one day. I was, Shelton and Terry,
mm-hmm.
And Shelton messaged me one day and said, "Have you ever thought about selling those programs?" And I go, "Not really, but I'm definitely thinking about it now." So they went to a good home. I'm really happy for them. I still do stuff for Terry. I still do stuff for both of them. We've got some stuff coming up, and so that, I lived through that, and I think that's another thing too, that helps a guy like me is I do a set of cylinder heads and I send them to a guy, and I'm like, I feel part of it, and yeah. In the beginning, I would send a guy manifolds. I would just send him stuff to try. And then I got hooked up with Chris, Cobb, which was the best thing that ever happened because he was real thorough on that, and we did some really nice stuff together, you know. But yeah, I mean, I just always, as far as porting, kept things in my lane. You know, I have a handful of guys I do comp stuff for. I don't do anything OEM. I still do some of the V Factor stuff. I got probably 6 sets of super stock heads going right now. Even after I get them back from CNC, I probably have 40 hours in them by hand, doing things by hand. So that keeps me busy. But I do in the beginning though, I did whatever I had to do, and I was fortunate. I mean, I knew enough people through racing and knew enough people. You know, one of the people that I met at Madcap was Vizard. So here later on in probably 2015, I did a set of heads for him, and he put them in his book. So I got a set of heads that David put in there, and another guy was Harold Bettis. Yes. You know, and up to when he passed, he was sending me writings for his latest book. Does this sound okay to the average guy? And I'm like, yeah, it's a little over my head too. So yeah, you better dumb it down a little, you know. But it's just it's the people you meet along the way, you know, and that's where I've been really lucky, you know, just simply for, you know, just being around it, you know. I mean, I think you know, when I ran Super Gas, I probably went to 2 years, probably went to 25 races. I mean, I was fortunate because my dad was self-employed, and you know, I could go, so I did. I'm glad I did, because a guy couldn't do it today if he wanted to. You know, things are a little more expensive, but the whole Madcap deal probably set the course, you know. And I even when I was at Giannoni's, he'd have local people come in, and I'd be throwing splash zone in a manifold and fixing up a manifold. And I just didn't think that I wanted to do it full time, and then kind of got that little push, you know. So
who do you think was your biggest influence?
Darin.
Okay.
I mean, I how could it not be? You know, and I was a big
Lee Shepard. Hear that, Darin.
Yeah, big Lee Shepard fan. I mean, not so much as a head porter, but as a third gen. That was my era.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was my era right there. And you know, nothing was cooler than having the head porter on the front fender and the business on the side. You know, it was just, I still get it. It still is today. You know, but I mean, there's a lot of, you know, one of the things that I you know, other than my dad, obviously. I mean, I've worked with my dad. Other than when I was in Denver, I've worked with my dad every day. He was out here today. He's 80 now. You know, and that's probably one of the reasons why I wanted to run Superstock, because we never ran it. You know, 3-4 years ago, I told my dad, I go, we're not getting any younger. You know, and he's like, you're crazy. And I'm like, probably, but we're not getting any younger. I want to do it. You know, so that's how that all went about. But I say probably, but the biggest one of the influences was Melanie's dad. It was Mike.
Okay.
Mike was he taught me about manual mills. He had in his basement of his house, he had 5 Bridgeports.
What?
Yeah. That's what he did for a living. He had a CNC shop, and they did all the parts for a wheelchair company called Layback, which was the Peak Brothers. They ran Top Fuel for a while, but they were quadriplegic wheelchairs.
Yeah.
They did all the parts for him, but he wasn't the kind of guy that if one operation took this fixture, he needed another one because he didn't want to change it. So he'd buy another one. But he's probably the one that taught me, and his daughter. She was really anal. I mean, she was perfectionist. And I think that's probably where I got that end of it, you know. Okay. My theory used to be I wouldn't ship anything unless I would use it myself. You know,
great way to look at it.
Yeah, you know, but yeah, she she was a really, and she learned it from her dad. But he actually literally told me in '88 he won the Alcohol World Championship. At that time, he had a business and he sold it, and they were going to go racing a full year. But he told me, and it's always stuck with me, he told me even beyond that, the greatest thing I've ever accomplished in drag racing was in 1977. He won all 5 division races in Division 5 in comp.
Wow.
I'm like, really? Over a world championship? He's like, yeah, because in 77, I didn't have any money. I had to use my brain, and I had to use whatever I had to use. Like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You know, so he always put that above winning the world championship. It's pretty cool if you think about it.
Very cool, man.
It is. That was really cool. But he was a genius. He was a good guy, definitely. But other than that, yeah. I mean, the cool thing about working at the rod shop is I talk to everybody. I talk to Schmidt and Warren, and when one of the jobs I had when Michael was actually booted out of MGP was calling everybody to tell them that Michael wasn't there anymore. So here this list, I'm looking at this. This is one of my first things I had to do when I got over there. I mean, who's who of racing is on this list. So here I am calling up Johnson. Warren, Michael's not at his business no more. Oh, really? Why's that? I mean, it was crazy time. So, but that was good. That was a good learning experience because it taught me about CNC machines and, I mean, just the process and how all that stuff went together. Really good experience. Plus, Colorado Springs, we had Superflow was there, so got to go to Superflow and do all that stuff. So that was pretty cool.
So that's where Harold Bettis was.
Yeah.
Right.
And actually, when him and Jameson teamed up on that Cena's, I don't even know how you say it. I think it's Cena's flow bench, but he messaged me one. He's like, "You need to get ready your Superflow. This is the bench you want." So I bought one. He was right. Yeah, it's a way better bench, in my opinion. But yeah, he was the kind of guy that Harold was very unique. He's a lot like Darin. He wouldn't give you the answer. He would give you the things to think about to get to the answer. And that's why, sometimes when, even I try to use that every once in a while. No, I try to use it all the time. I won't just flat give it away. I'm like, you got to, I'll tell you, but you got to get there. You got to figure out how to get there, and that's, I think that was probably the best, and another thing I think too is like spreadsheets, and stuff like that to figure cross section and math and whatnot. Pen to frickin' paper, man. You'll learn more putting pen to paper than you will any spreadsheet. And that's when things start clicking. I think even Joel will tell you, he got too used to just having something spit out a number rather than figuring out here's the math that goes into it. And that's the thing that Larry taught me was he would get down to 2.4 constant comes from this. I'm like, holy shit. You'd ask him a simple question. I'd say, Hi, Larry, the sky's blue. He'd send me a freaking 45,000 essay on how come the sky turned blue. I mean, I'm serious. And actually here.
I know it. He's so
here.
detailed.
Right here. I saved them. I saved everything. These are all emails from questions that I'd asked Darin or Larry that I saved him. And I call it, here's the book I call it. Formulas, the Book of Theories.
There it is, baby.
Yeah. So everything I've ever asked is right here. Right by my desk. So, but the thing is that those kind of guys like the Bettises and the Darins and the Joels, let's throw Joel in there.
Yep.
They all have the same mindset. They want to help, and they don't want to give it away, but they'll tell you how to get there. And that's the key.
Because you know what, if they do that, then you're using your mind and you're thinking.
Yeah.
And if you think alike, then you are alike.
And that's alike. Yeah, and that's why I've stuck to the same 3 guys for 25 years. Because I firmly believe there's probably another way to get there. I believe that. But if you think alike, and that's it all comes back to that pedo tube. There's a lot of people that don't like it. It's never led me wrong, never, ever. I don't think it ever would. But yeah, you gotta, and I think one of the things too is, that Speed Talk had some tapes, and the first thing anybody will ever tell you, the first step to success is being around like-minded people.
That's it. You're right.
You can't butt heads with somebody every day and accomplish it. Yeah, you can. You can. So I just stuck to the main people, the same people, and it served me well.
I try to surround myself.
People are wrong. It doesn't mean that. It just means that
different way.
Exactly.
I try to surround myself with people that are smarter than I am.
Yeah.
So hopefully that by osmosis I can absorb some of it. You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's
how you learn.
That's definitely how I learn.
Yeah.
Darin and I will do these live chats, and you've heard that 3 hours we're talking, whether it's on an open live chat or to the members, and we're done. We end the video, and then what do him and I do?
Sit there and talk.
I'm blessed. Then we talk for another 2 hours on something. I'll ask a question, or I'll get something, and I'll look at it. I'll say, "What about this?" And then another 2 hours. I mean, that's 5 hours of that stuff.
Right.
And it's amazing that you don't get tired of it. Like I don't get tired of. It's nothing but a freaking port with air going through it. How can I? I don't get tired of anything.
Well, just like we were talking earlier with what you're doing, it's not a job it'll never be a job if you love it. I mean, I get to come in here all day long and work on cool shit. I mean, seriously,
we got 160 people here, which is pretty good size for a live chat on YouTube. At least my experience here. Like, what's your work day like? Are you the kind of guy that's out there at 4 o'clock in the morning working, or do you get out there after 9 o'clock, you have a cup of coffee and go out? And
I get down here about 8:45, drink a pot of coffee, and then get rolling.
Okay.
But the thing is, my wife's accused me of this. Is like you're on the online a lot. I'm like, no, I use that to break up my day. I don't take a lunch break. Today I stood there from probably noon to whenever I talk to you, 5 o'clock, grinding on the manifold. So I mean, 5 straight hours of grinding on a manifold, 4 straight hours of grinding on a manifold. So, but I have noticed, when I was doing iron stuff and truck pulling stuff, and that I really hurt. But I've also noticed now if I break it up, I feel a whole lot better. I don't want to do any more iron, but yeah, no, I don't hardly ever. I just kind of use the internet and answer emails to break up the day and stay down here till, if I now have I stayed till 2, 3 in the morning. Yeah. I want to work on my own stuff. I always felt guilty about working on my stuff during the day, and the sad thing is, and I think everybody that's a small one-man shop is, you're a little late sometimes. You got people that are waiting. You got people that are upset. It's inevitable. And some of it's parts, some of it's, I can only pass on what I'm told, and it's sort of like that UPS guy. He's going to get the ration of shit because he handed you the package, so that's about all. And I've been there, and I don't blame, hey man, I'm the same way. But I always try to do something that I don't charge them for, or go above and beyond, and make them feel like it was worth the wait, and always promise them that it is worth the wait,
That's good business. You know what I mean? That's
good. I mean, you got to learn that though. You got to learn it. I had to learn it because I wasn't that way. I was like straight into deflection, straight into. You know what I mean? You got to learn it. You don't. Yeah, my dad always tells me you're great at cylinder heads, but you are bad at books, but you're good with customers. I'll give you that. And I'm like, thank you. But yeah, bookwork's not my favorite.
Yeah, I know all about that.
But here's the thing. God dang it! By the time you get done with a set of cylinder heads, by the time you wrap them, you box them, you bill them, you sticker them, you got an hour and a half in it.
Yeah,
it takes freaking ever. It really does, and but it's part of it, So is the internet. In my opinion, It's I used to catch that a lot. You don't see so and so on the internet. Well, maybe he doesn't know how to turn on a computer, but he's pretty dumb that he's not, because the internet has made me on par with AFR, Brodix, you on par with any influencer. You know what I mean? Yeah, you have to have a presence on it. Doesn't matter if you're in business 10 years or 50 years. You have to. It's just the world we live in,
That's a key point.
Good and bad. Yeah, good and bad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And the bad travels just as fast as the good.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always three sides to every story. So every once in a while I'll read something. I don't ever get upset about it because it is what it is, But yeah, our whole business is totally different now in 2026 than it was even before COVID. Things are different. Things are weird.
Well, I mean, I think there's a lot of, I guess you could say, private equity getting involved, and when
exactly,
this component of individuality, with Speier cylinder heads or BAM lifters or whoever.
Right.
Now you bring in a corporate giant to come in and start, wringing their hands and seeing what they can get rid of. That's
and then like taking away. I pick on Edelbrock, but like the super stock stuff, you have to use Edelbrock because they're the only approved aftermarket aluminum casting.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So the absolute most wanted manifold for one of those flathead cars is a Victor E 2978. Okay. Well, what do they do? They drop it. Yeah, you can get it with EFI bungs. So if you see the manifold that I just did for myself, had EFI bungs, and So I mean, all they want's the stuff that'll fly off the shelf fast. I get it. And that's why I've always, I always had a really good relationship with Profiler. One of the reasons I talked to Mike today for a half hour, mainly because Darin was there, and Profiler basically said, what do you need in a casting? And they made the casting. They put my SRH and my part number on it.
Yep.
That Darin was all instrumental in that. And I think, that's why we were able to make 900 horsepower with a 23 degrees, because a head porter designed the casting, which nothing against any of the other guys, but a head porter designed the casting. That's all you need to say, So Darin was really instrumental in that, So he had, like I was saying before, it's like his baby too.
Okay.
He's thrilled to death because that was, so it's pretty cool.
The home of the 900 horsepower 23 degree low port. Like what's low port in your definition? What do you mean by that?
Well, I would go by the opening off deck.
Okay.
So the opening's only off deck, maybe 250 thousandths. So like an all pro, or even the Brodex stuff, it'd be a full inch, which they would have probably 5.740 valve in it length. This still has a 5.160 valve length.
Okay.
It's not a high port.
Yeah.
I did a lot of things to the port. If you literally look at it, to full it, like the whole thing's canted. If you really look at the port, the guide's canted, the floor's canted, trying to trick the air. But that picture that you had up on, if you really look at the guide in it, you can really see that it's cocked.
I got to think about if I thought I had copied some. Let me see, like this one.
Nope, that's a 13 degree.
Let me see if I can find something. I know I copied some stuff because I'm like, man, I love this stuff.
Nope, that's a hand finish.
I mean, I love that, man.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, that's another thing is the burr finish. I mean, that gets a lot of good. Okay, there you go. Look at the guide in it. See how the guide looks like it's actually on the floor. It looks like it's canted.
Yeah, it does.
There's a reason.
So that whole angle's changed on that.
Yeah, I definitely put some tilt into it.
Wow. I mean, I look at that thing. It's just amazing when I see that, and it's
a 23 degree. That's the crazy thing. It's a 23 degree Chevy. It's not your grandpa's Chevy,
Now that's CNC to start with, like to get you to that point, and then you hand finish it, correct?
Yeah, I don't hand finish all of them. I have a bunch of them out there that aren't. To be honest with you, I think when they went to Wilkes and they went to LGM, I think that was a way for me to make money on a valve job. You know what I mean? Because here's the thing: is people don't realize is it's not 2000 anymore, where a 23-degree casting was $1,500 cheaper than a third. It's not that way anymore. They don't give a shit what they're casting. It's the same price. A 23 degree is the same as a 13 now. So the things got a lot more expensive. And I decided that when I had it, I wanted a high-end 23 degree. I didn't want a cookie cutter. I didn't want that. I wanted blended seats. I wanted all of that. I wanted to give them a reason of why they needed to come here to get them.
That is key right there.
Yeah. And when things are really good, I was buying 100 castings a time.
Wow.
From Profiler, the Porter score.
Amazing.
In the very beginning, I was selling, and I don't remember. I'd have to go back. I think 2011 was the first year of the first 227 port. I was selling them for $2,850 loaded.
Wow.
Now they're $5,400.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, here's a thing that people don't realize. CHE guides, they're $10 a piece. You got $160 seats, they're $10 a piece. You got $320 seats and guides now, where that used to be $4 a piece.
Okay.
Things have just gotten crazy.
I love talking to that guy Claude from CHE.
Yeah, he's a trip.
We did an interview with it, and
yeah, that's good.
Darin did the filming. He's the video guy. It's
good stuff. I just got some stuff. I'm not Brian Weinhold, which is in Ellsworth. I don't know if you know Brian. He does the welding for me because it's 45 minutes over. He welds up all the super stocks, but he gets all my CHE stuff for me, but yeah, it's all I'll use. There's no sense in not,
Yeah, of course. Work with the best, you get the best.
Exactly. Yeah.
I got to put that up again, just because I'm amazed at looking at that thing, man. I love that.
So basically, in that port, the throat is actually the minimum. So what I did was I offered 3 different versions, and then different variations of that version. But there was a V 2.35 there's 4 versions. 2.35, which was a 205 cc port.
Yeah.
The V 2.5, which was a 227. The 2.7, which was a 250. And the V30, which was a 265. But I named them by minimum cross section. So the V 2.5 has minimum cross section. So this is probably one of the only. This has got a 2150 valve in it. It's probably one of the only small block Chevy heads that actually has the minimum cross section at the throat. That tells you how big it is. So the throat is a little over 3 inches, and the push rod pinch area is 3.2.
Like if you could go, Darin has that 90% rule that kind of gets you in the rough area. What are those like rough wise? Is that a 92% of that intake?
I do everything, even the street stuff.
Yep.
And there's some stuff that'll be bigger, obviously. Super stock stuff's bigger.
Yeah.
Yes, anything that I would call velocity limited. In other words, small valve, small cross section. I think I put a bigger throat in it because you got to slow the air down. But everything is 91.5. So I'll take the valve and take it times 91.5, and that's exactly what the throat is. In fact, I used to catch some flack back. You don't really use those rules, like 350 minimum velocity through the pinch. So in 2014, was the first year I did Engine Masters, and it was with a old school Pontiac.
Okay.
So this guy, it was a blank check. that we spent so much money. Mark Dahlquist. We did everything. Long story short.
Yeah.
The head flowed. The head had a 2350 valve in it. Okay. It flowed 380 CFM. So if you take 380 CFM times 2.4 divided by 350, that's exactly what the push rod pitch is. That's what I did. Super stock head, same thing. Same thing. So I use, that's just the way all those heads we're talking about, same thing. Which they're a little slower, and the reason being is because it's not so called a max effort. Mm-hmm. So they average probably 310 through the push rod.
Okay.
Through the minimum. Yeah. Somewhere in there.
I just the heads that Darin did for me that I've been racing on my Cougar, he set them on kill. So I just made a video. I'm going to put it up tomorrow on it because I've never done any of this, and I just measured the throat and I did the math on it and come up with what percentage it is. And I think guys will be pretty interested in hearing and seeing what that means set on kill. So,
yeah, he doesn't fib. You know, I know he catches a little bit of ration on his 90% rule, but he's never going to say, get out your carving stone and carve it in stone. That's not what he's saying. He's saying,
buddy.
Get you in trouble. That will be safe. You're not going to ruin it. It'll get you down the racetrack. It'll get you around a corner. It'll do all that. That's what he's saying.
I say it right in my video, too, that I made that I'm going to put up tomorrow. The same exact thing. It's a guideline to get you there. He says, I can get you in the 90% range on anything, but it's up to you to get to the next step.
Yeah.
You know?
Now, I'll remember the day I got it in an email. We were talking about throat size, and I asked Darin a question, and he replied back, Chad, you're a pro now. Everything should be 91.5. I'm like, okay. Because that's where I wanted to go. You know what I mean? He's like, you're a pro now. I'll never forget that.
But, you know, the thing is, and I never really, like, it clicked all of a sudden, probably a couple months ago. But all of a sudden, something clicked. Like, I realized about how important that throat is. And I'm going to take the head that you did for me, let's say 91.5, and I sent it to Joe's, machine shop and get a valve job done. And they mess around with it, and now it's 94, and I didn't even know it. And now my car's running like crap. It's like, what happened? All he did was a valve job. You know what I mean? That is so integral. That means so much.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I tell everybody. If you don't send that head back to the guy that did it original, I've had guys send me stuff, from anybody, any company you can think of. And I don't just say, that needs a 55. So put a fit. What I do, I clean up that valve job. I'll go over and I'll sharpen my stone, and I'll touch that seat with a stone. I would rather do that, hit it with a stone and not charge him for a valve job, than put the guy had a 52 degree seat with a 45 top, and my cutter's a 48 top, and jack up the chamber. It's not worth it.
You said that today.
Yeah.
I think, like on this right here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's that. Yeah. So basically that top cut is an extension into the chamber. It's exactly the same. So what I'll do is I'll drop an old valve in it, and I'll just blend all the way around it, so it's nice and blended all the way around.
Okay.
And here's the thing. Here's the way I look at it. It's not what you're doing. It's who you're doing it for. Think about it. It's not what I'm doing, but it's the people that trust me. Last year, even when funny, when Darin left rear, they didn't have anybody. Well, guess who sent me heads to do? Rear.
Yeah.
I did some stuff for Pinella. I do stuff for Patterson. I do. So it's not, people can argue and say, that's not how you do it. It's not what you're doing. It's who you're doing it for. Period. And I just get so frustrated that, and I'm the first one. If you look at any of my videos on YouTube, I got math videos. It's the first knowledge came from Darin, but it hasn't changed. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy to me how many people just want to debate it. You know, how much more successful does a guy like Darin need to be?
I get
Or
it.
anybody. I'm not saying I'm never going to say
No,
rules are made to be broken.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not for your average cat, your average DIY guy. It's not going to mess you up. It's not. And then you're like me. You apply those basic tools that you learn that are good tools. Then you start finding your technique. Then you start finding. The way that I kick out some of my walls. Even Darin's like, he was really kicked out there. And I'm like, yeah, but what I'm saying is, you find what works for you, you know, and that's part of being a head porter, you know, and that's part of like the burr finish. I don't give a shit if you don't like it. I don't care. It all started until I proved it. That I'm thinking back then I was charging, say, $750 a port a manifold. There you go.
There it is.
If that manifold ported just like that,
yep,
runs exactly the same as one that you spend another 2.5 hours on making it pretty, why do I want to charge that guy another $250? So I was trying to give the guys the best bang for the buck, you know? And I told you the story on the phone, and I'll tell it now.
Yeah.
It was probably 2014. I had a local guy, okay? Brought me his heads and his manifold. I go, what do you want to do? He's like, we need a valve job, need to freshen them up. I want to port the manifold. I go, I want to do it in burr. He goes, I don't know. And I'm like, why not? He's like, nah, it needs to be smooth. I go, okay, all right. Valve jobbed his heads, blended it real nice, ported his manifold smooth. I go, here's what we're going to do, dude. He goes, what's that? I go, I'm going to come down on the 2-day race. I'm going to bring my Makitas with me. He had EGTs and he had an AFR. And I go, you're going to tune it to where you think it runs the best. We're going to pull that freaking manifold off, and I'm going to burr that bitch right in the trailer. And we're putting that manifold back on, and you're going to tune it to where you had it before. All right. We had to take jet out of it because it was more efficient.
Yeah.
Okay. At the end of the day, when it was all said and done, it was 600s. That's how much better it ran. Okay.
Wow.
Is that on all manifolds? No.
No.
It's on a freaking 23-degree limited manifold that's already got so many issues anyway that are small bends. You know, it's not like a tall raised port splayed valve or whatever. That's, you know, it's got turns and twists. So, yeah, if you can get enough area, like everybody wants to compare it to a cup head or F1 head, or those guys aren't doing it. Well, yeah, no shit. You know what? They can get the cross section they need. They can get it. I'm dealing with velocity limited heads that you don't have enough cross section, no matter what. You know, it's never let me. It's never. I've never lost power. So if it doesn't lose you power and saves you money, and I think it looks cool.
I love the look of it, man.
I mean, you got to see the difference when you're washing it. When you wash it and you put water in there, the water just goes. It doesn't lay there and bead and roll. It goes. It's crazy.
I mean, just think about the molecules of air and gasoline, if that's what you're using, gas. I mean, think about them hitting those little separating, pulling apart.
All kinds of chaos going on in there. All kinds of chaos. There's nothing nice going on in a manifold. You know what I mean? There's ways
to test on a dyno. Test on a dyno and just see what it does on a dyno.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and you know, there's some things that I think in a 23-degree that are more important than the other things, and I don't think minimum cross section is one of them. You know, and the thing is and the super stock stuff pretty much proves that, because you got 1.9 square inches and they're peaking at 7,500. How? You know, so it's all about localized velocity. All about that. It's all about that and slowing it down so it can fill the chamber. It's all about that, you know. And then when and when you work with heads that aren't like that, and you're like, I don't do that, but I don't have any problem. Yeah, no kidding. You know, you're working with a totally different animal, man. Totally different. Totally.
Like, what's this here?
That's epoxy. That's a super stock manifold.
Right.
So basically, the top's got enough material in it to where you can get a 1/2 inch radius.
Yep.
So the bottom you can't. So you got to build it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love the way you do I see a lot of your stuff. I've been looking at your stuff now lately and the pictures and stuff. And I don't know. It's just.
I love working with epoxy.
A picture is worth 1,000 words. And if you see them and you can kind of your mind's eye and remember what that would look like. Now you look at another one or a finished version. It's like, man, I can see what's going on in here.
And I also think that when you get to a certain level, everybody's stuff's going to look the same. You know, and I think Darin would probably even say that. You know what I mean? I just think that, you know, you're flowing X amount of air, you need X amount of area, and you got to do X amount of things to accomplish that, you know?
And you only have this much to do it in. It's going to come out looking the same.
I think so.
It's efficient. We'll ask him that question.
Yeah.
You know, see what he says.
Yeah. Ask him that.
You were mentioning this. Actually, I just noticed in the back behind you, you know, Shepherd is the same font as. Do you see that?
I did that on purpose.
Yeah, I bet you did.
Yeah. Well, it actually all started because of this, which was this was Dickie's car. That that had the rear Morrison deal, and I don't remember. I'm trying to think.
Did that car just crash?
Yeah. He went to Tulsa, and the car never lifted the front end, and the air was really good. And I mean, that car it was running 520s NA. Yeah, I mean it. Wow. But he literally called rear and asked him if it was okay if he painted the car like that. And he's like, yeah. And I don't remember. I don't remember if I called David or I had Brad ask him.
Yeah.
But the logo just kind of worked out perfect because of the way my name is.
Yeah. I mean, the Speier, I just looked at it. It's like almost the same when I look at it.
Yeah. I'm that way. I'm a real history kind of guy. For example, like my little tags I was putting on heads and stuff.
Yeah.
Jimmy Bell did that all the time.
R.I.P.
I just remember when I was a kid, I had a set of J Bell heads, and it had a metal tag on it, and it had pound rivets in it. I'm like, that's the coolest shit I ever saw. And I wanted a set of those heads just because of that logo, because of that, you know. So, and like the V Factor logo, and I don't know. I mean, I think it's your life, you know.
Just like the one above my head, you know what I mean? That's that picture.
Yeah,
that's my logo, and it's like
yeah.
I mean that, and that's who you are.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how. I mean, it's carrying on somebody else's, you know. And it's a cool logo. I mean, it's just cool. I wish I had one that I could show you. I mean, if I can,
I have to get some from you.
Yeah, look how. I mean, it's literally.
Yeah,
it worked out perfect.
Same R, same S.
Same everything, yeah. And actually, you know what's funny? Is the guy that did it for me just did it off of a picture.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know how you did it, but that's pretty cool. But yeah, so it's pretty cool.
R.I.P. Lee. So we'll get some questions going. We've been talking for an hour and 20 minutes. There's like almost 200 people here, which is a huge live chat. So you got a lot of fans, sure. Chad, because they ain't here for me. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Nice.
Tim Hilliard says, Chad's YouTube videos are really informative. I like how he focuses on one specific topic. Thank you, Tim. We appreciate that. And you were saying that, you know, you'll go in there and whether you're talking about one thing and you make a video on it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's sweet and to the point. And I think, you know, I do it all with my camera. I mean, there's no editing. I mean, if I say something dumb, it's there, you know? Yeah. It's raw.
I got to admit, guys, I do edit some. If I make a mistake, I kind of take it out of there unless I think it's applicable. I'll leave it in there. We're human, man. We make mistakes.
Yeah.
I'm not ashamed of it. Don Dotter, now he's a Chevy guy. He says, I appreciate Chad's videos. There are more things other than flow numbers. He shows us all of the importance of the math and why. Thank you, Don. We appreciate that. Now, this is interesting because you mentioned the airstrike. So this is a good question. I don't know, and I told Chad, when we talk about this or answer questions, if he doesn't know, he's going to say, I don't know. We don't, all right, give me some time and I'll get back to you. But, you don't know. This is on live and it's like you get a question and here we go. Andrew Shepard from Texas, it looks like. Chad, how is the 12-degree airstrike program coming along? I bought my 13 degrees from you a few years ago.
I talked to Mike about that, and they my Profiler sold out. Profiler sold to a guy by the name of Greg Burkhart, which is in Arkansas, and he's really doing some really great things. They got some things I can't talk about, but really nice things come out. I think one of the things they're going to do is they're going to completely get away from as-cast heads. Okay, so you're going to be able to get two ways, in a Porter's version or CNC'd.
Okay.
So they had a program already done in place for an airstrike. And I think that's what they're going to run. They're going to use and just see how the ball rolls from there. But the biggest thing that was missing, that head's unbelievable. And that head is a lot. It'll save you lots of money over, say, like the SPX, the fold steel, which it's a great head. But this will save you some money over it. But the biggest downfall was you had to slice and dice a manifold. Okay. So, or a sheet metal, but the I think it's the CID has a manifold that'll fit right on it. So that's going to be a big bonus. I think that will get a lot of guys to switch, to step up and spend the money on that. But the original as cast version, the port's really big, but it flows a ton of air. And I remember that 13 degree, Andrew. Definitely remember that.
I'm highlighting questions as we go along because I didn't do it because we get into talking. It's like I'm just focused on you and listening, not all the guys that are talking and wanting to ask questions. Right. So let's see what this gentleman says. BRR Racing 7861. Did you convert your C3 Corvette to a solid rear axle 4-link layout? Darin ? Or keep the 82 Dana 44 independent rear suspension?
That must be for Darin. That's not me.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm unless because you know what someone else said. He looks like Darin, like you look like Darin.
Cool.
So I don't know. BRR Racing, talk about it. And
now I did had a 3rd gen Camaro, and I found a over the counter back in the 80s. You could buy a Dana for him.
I think that's what he's talking about.
Okay, I found it. I traded a guy a set of cylinder heads for it. I found one. I put it in my 3rd gen. Yeah, but it didn't have a 4-link. No. I just used the whatever was there, and we just took out the old one and put the new one in.
Okay.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
Daniel Wilson, 6665. I actually have a supercharged Pontiac 3.8 V6 in addition to my Ford, so I could really learn a lot from Chad Speier. Always the best on DBG. You got it, baby. Yeah. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you, Daniel. Joel says, I've worked with John Dennison.
Yeah, John's a good guy.
Okay.
John was a big muscle bodybuilder. I mean, we always felt safe. Yeah. We always felt safe going to Colorado National with him because nobody would mess with him. Yeah. But he was at Madcap, okay? He goes to Richard Childress for a long time. He's back at Madcap. So he's running Madcap now. And the cool thing is he's probably sent me several things to do.
Okay.
So it's kind of weird how everything always comes back full circle.
It does.
So
really.
When they say you're never supposed to burn a bridge, they're telling you the truth. Because
that's a fact.
It is a fact.
Yes.
Totally a fact.
You know, and it's funny when you were telling me the story about working at Madcap, whether it was 91 or 92, but Darin was there too with Brad. They both were there. So it's like a trip when I think about you guys being there.
I'll tell you who else was there at that time. Bob Benson. Bob Benson works for MBE.
Okay. And, yeah, I know Bob.
Okay. Yeah. And another guy, Jim Ragoza. And he's got his own shop now. I don't know what he calls it. The place was loaded with talent, man. There was talent all over.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Now we'll go back to this guy because this is the funny part here. He says, "Oh, it's Chad. First time I've seen him on a live."
Probably the last.
I don't know about that. Hey, what's going on, Anthony Calvino? Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Said he's a cool guy. I think he's talking about John Dennison.
Yeah, he is. Definitely is.
Big guy, like Joel.
I've seen that guy. I've seen him. I hope he's not watching. I seen him so mad. He literally, like I said, he was a big guy. He was so mad. He literally lifted a big block off a table and threw it across the shop.
What?
Yeah. He may not remember that, but he did.
That's got to be over 200 pounds. You know,
he's
220.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, he does.
Love the Dart Buick stuff. People talk junk about them and how old and outdated they are, but they still make good power today, baby.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Thank you, Darin.
The biggest thing I think what held them back was they didn't peak as high as the Chevy stuff did. And it was just simply because there wasn't enough material to do what you needed to do. So like the little 304 that I had peaked at like 9,400, wow, which wasn't enough.
CD says he resembles Darin. Which part? The hat, maybe.
Edward Norton.
Yeah.
What my wife said. Darin looks like Edward Norton.
I wonder if he's listening in on this. That's funny. He says, I'm used to Tim and Darin having lives. We do have lives, not just here on YouTube. Thank you. Turner Wrench Channel 3411 says, question, when Chad is porting a small block Chevy intake for E85, since E85 likes velocity, what would Chad recommend or do differently when porting that intake for E85? Say the Holly 300-110 for a 7,500 RPM 383 small block Chevy.
I honestly don't know at that point if there's anything different you can do. You're still going to, what I would do is I would run like Pi Max or something like that. And the 7,500 is obviously going to want some opening area, and just kind of size it from there. Or another thing I would do, to be honest with you, is do something like that. And then if you go on my webpage and click under, I don't know what it's, but I have a page that I have a bunch of different manifold lengths and openings as cast.
Let me throw this up because this is the other part of his question.
Okay.
Let's see. The combo is a 388 small block Chevy 11-1, 232cc head for that question. Would a smaller plenum intake be better for E85?
Not at 7,500. I just don't think you can get it big enough, to be honest with you.
Okay.
How much? Yeah.
Okay.
Which isn't a lot of compression anymore, to be honest with you. So that's gonna take a little away.
Charles says that was an excellent teacher. Does points in the right direction. Yep. Gets you to the point 90%, and then you figure out the rest.
Yep.
And I think this is talking about Darin. You guys are Kansas men.
Yep. He's from Wichita.
We're not in Kansas anymore, I can tell you that. Now here's a guy from New Zealand. I don't know who you are, Dean, or what you. He seems to be everywhere on Facebook and YouTube, and has a lot of knowledge, man. He's always bringing something up it's like, geez, how do you figure that out? But B&R Racing, I'm used to eavesdropping here. Don't tell anyone. I always see it here. Don't say a lot of comments sometimes, but you're absorbing like a sponge, so that's a good thing. Thank you. Ty Hewitt, he has a Facebook called Them Damn Mopar People. And Chad, that's cool. You were scared to send out those early heads.
I really was.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I'm talking a few days. They were box ready. I'm
really?
like, yeah, it's weird.
Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, you think about it. If the first couple sets you're setting out, and you know, and then something happens, and it's like, oh my God, this guy's terrible. I mean, your whole reputation, your life is on the line.
Well, you know, and I think something that I learned later on is I run into a situation not long ago. You don't ever know who's going to see him. So it needs to be your best for, but I mean, and it didn't really apply in the early days. It kind of applies now, you know, and you could call something budget, but things are getting expensive that nothing's budget to some guy.
No way. That's just a selling term, man. That's budget. Yeah, we're gonna.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
And let's see where we are. Let's see. Dean says it's okay. I've just had to talk to myself and have my own board meeting with just one guy. Glad you're back here. Us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Here you are, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Now here comes an old soul we know. Terry Wilkes. Good to see you here. This is Team Chad. You are V Factor. I'm a lucky guy that gets to help you carry this on to the next level.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, the beauty of that cylinder head is we have so many. I actually have a running list of engines and what it made for power. And there's absolutely, you know, a 434 with a 2.7 with such and such cam, and this manifold is going to make 770. You know, and we've got that much data, and it's really good for the guy buying this stuff because it's not the cheapest stuff out there, you know. So, you know, and I even have on my website, and if I'm hand porting a set of cylinder heads, and you know, everybody wants to know how much is it going to pick up, how much is it going to help, and I have right on there, if it doesn't do what we discussed, send them back and I'll keep working on it. It won't cost you anything.
Wow.
You know, and I don't know as if I've ever had anybody send anything back, you know, but yeah, I mean, you gotta have confidence in yourself. That's for sure.
I mean, that's true with anything. I mean, you got to have that self-confidence. And
you do.
Just if they don't have it, it's a tough world out there because the world is tough on you.
Yeah, exactly.
And you got to be able to
don't stay. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays with the internet, you don't stick around for 10 plus years, much less 20, much less 25 years if you're not getting something done, because the internet's brutal. You know, it's brutal. It is. It really is.
No doubt, man. No doubt about
it. Really
that.
Is. So
I got to say, I'm pretty lucky. I don't know. I try not to argue with people. I don't get into big debates or drama. I don't have time for it. Once in a while, if someone's something stupid, I'll say something back to them, smart mouth, or give it back to them, you know, for being that way. Or I'll ask them, why are you saying stuff like this?
Yeah.
You know, we're here to learn. You know, don't waste our time like this.
Right.
But for the most part, I think people are very receptive of what we do. Me, on my part, being I don't know if I'm an influencer. I don't even know that term. I'm just a freaking YouTuber, man, in my garage, you know. But with what you guys do, and you'll see as these comments come down. So let's say, stop talking body aches. I'm in my late 50s and I'm suffering, but still porting full time too. Yeah. Well, thanks for carrying on.
Yeah, it's no fun. My wife tells me all the time she's worried about me. I'm worried about you in your old age. I'm like, yeah.
I mean, my neck's killing me right now. I'm 60, and it's like I got arthritis. I had an MRI. I got arthritis in my neck, and that's what happens when you get old. The trick is, don't stop moving.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop doing what you're doing, or you're going to go back, and then you're going to be sorry. So keep supporting those heads.
Yeah.
And live with rotating pain. Yep. There we go.
Yeah, I tore my rotator. It was brutal.
A rotator cuff tear. Yeah. You're like,
and I didn't fix it. I did therapy, and
you'll get it back with therapy.
Yeah, and
limited.
And the guy, my doctor tells me, he's like, you know, you do your therapy, and then we'll go in, and we'll just clean up the scar tissue. And I'm like, okay. He goes, but I'm going to tell you, If I get in there and I see a tear, I'm going to fix it. I go, then we're not going to do it. And he honestly, he looked at me like I had a dick on my forehead. He's like, why would you do that? I go, do you know how to port heads? He goes, I don't even know what you're talking about. I go, exactly.
Right. If you can do it, don't do it.
Yeah.
Do it. You know, I mean, I worked in surgery for 20 something years, and I don't mind doing it to other people, but I don't want to be the guy under the knife.
Right.
Not unless you have to have it, you know.
Right. Exactly.
It's not getting better. And let's see, here's another. We'll go through these little pain things just because everyone's feeling it. Spend 10 minutes a day exercising in the morning. Helped me out tremendous in the last 8 months.
Yeah.
Right. Have a cup of coffee.
Well, actually,
stretch.
I tell you what I think fixed my back, and it was kind of bad. But when my big dog got sick,
Yeah.
The dog weighed 160 pounds, and I'd have to lift him 8 times a night,
Jesus.
middle of the night, you know. And all of a sudden, I'm like, holy shit, I feel great. You know, and I went to my doctor and I'm like, I feel great. She's like, well, what are you doing different? And I told her, and she's like,
my dog.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It makes a difference. Certain things.
It does. It hurt like hell in the beginning. Don't get me wrong. But, but it started getting better. I'm like, wow, I feel pretty good here.
Now here's one of your fans or customers. This is Joshua Wooten. Just got here. This is super cool. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, see, he posts a lot. Yeah.
Charles says, if you are the smartest person in the room, you are in the wrong room, baby.
That's the truth. Totally agree.
Words of wisdom, Charles. Thank you for that. Don Dotter says, my guys I learned from, Chad, Darin, David Vizard, Charlie, Brian Salter. Yeah. Yep. And Brian was on last night. He came on as a guest.
And none of those people on that list right there are afraid to put themselves out there. That's the biggest thing right there. Because you know sooner or later you're going to catch some criticism, or you're going to catch some grief, or
you may say not perfect, say something wrong or whatever, and someone wants to run with a flag with it.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. It says here, Ty Hewitt says, Chad, you should do another video on the pitot tube. I'd like to watch you do it and see where you take your measurements and how you get to ensure consistent and accurate readings.
I tell you how I get accurate readings, and this was a long conversation with Larry Moe.
Yeah.
Dead center of the port. That's
really?
It. Yeah. I mean, if the dead center of the port is goofy, then you can find it.
Okay.
But if you put your pitot to dead center, I literally, like the 13 degree profiler. That's the one. I don't remember how big the engine was. I want to say it's a 437 that Chris Cobb built. He dynoed it on his dyno, took it to Bischoff's. Yep. They dynoed it at Bischoff's, and it made 1,035. That's a wedge. It made really good power.
Wow.
Okay. But I can literally take my pitot, put it dead center, and I can push my pitot all the way back till it stops, and the center velocity doesn't change 10 feet per second, all the way from front to back.
Okay. So
it's tight. So that right there tells a guy all he needs to know about how the velocity should be. You know, there's some heads you can't do that, obviously. 23 degree, you definitely can.
Well, there you go, Ty. Thank you. Maybe I can get him to make a video for my channel.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of fun.
You can do it. I mean, like I was saying earlier, especially in a 23 degree, I used to worry about the cross section's important. Don't get me wrong.
Right,
but
right.
There's something funky going on in a 23 degree. And I've even talked to David Vizard about this. But for instance, you shouldn't be able to get, and actually Charles is on here. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. On a 23 degree where you have the secondary choke upstream, you can literally get more than 350 feet per second out of that area. So like a super stock head, maybe 1.9 square inches, and it could flow, say, 270, I could have 400 feet per second dead center. People are like, there's no way. because you can only flow 146 CFM per square inch.
Yeah.
Totally agree. But there's something, and I hope Charles pops in and says what it is, but there's something about the area and about how it expands and slows down, and then the area directly behind it gets big. So it's giving it like a weird signal, but a super stock head does exactly that. Now, I've only had 1 or 2 heads that have flowed 146 CFM per square inch at the throat, and one of them was the Profiler Airstrike.
Okay.
Because that bitch is evil. I mean, it'll flow 500, you know. But yeah. So there's a crazy phenomenon going on in some of those heads, and I really think it's only with the really fast velocity stuff, because a super stock head's smoking fast. They're so fast. And here's what I found, and I will say this for a 20 degree floor, Mopar, Chevy, anything. The floor apex velocity trumps anything that's secondary. So in other words, if you can get the width and the shape right, the apex shape, okay, right there, the apex, if you get that right and your numbers are tight, say 340, 340, 380, it's going to make the turn and it's going to flow to an inch. So that area is way more important than the secondary choke, because, like I just said, you can get more than 350 feet per second. You know, so some of the super stock stuff, you know, with believe it or not, the small valve stuff is actually better than the bigger valve stuff. So simply because the approach to the short side is better. It's got a better angle. But
what's small valve? 202 or something?
194, 184, 184.
Wow.
Yeah. Anything that was OEM.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like my engine's a 202. It's a 202 1600. The majority of them are 194, 1500s. But the 194s will be 390 on the floor, 390 feet per second. Because you can't go wide, because you got to worry about a port volume.
The Siamese too, yeah.
So it's a balancing act. So if you go real wide and give it a big bowl, then you got a smaller minimum. You got to put more epoxy in it. So if you can get the short side to handle the airspeed, it can be fast, really fast.
Really?
Yeah. 20 degree Ford, same way. That Ford head that you had was the same way.
Yeah.
Profiler? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had it for a while, probably a year or more. You know, I made some.
Yeah, and actually, you know who's got that program? Terry's got that program now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I saw it. I got video on it.
And I know why. I do know why it never really took off. It's because of the high port. And I get it. I totally get it. But I promise, Profiler did a lot of castings, DZ castings. So they have a grip on that head. That head's really good. It's really, really good. It's just nobody gave it a fair shot because everybody was trick flow happy, which I don't blame them.
Right. Well, I got videos coming up, Terry and Shelton, of the stuff we did at PRI. So I'm getting those finished up. It'll be good to see. CD says, did Chad ever see Warren Johnson's free valve, no cam system?
I did not. No.
Nope. Chad, tell us about epoxy.
Okay. So if you prep it right and you clean it right, it will live forever. The key, anything new, like the new heads, I don't ever worry about it. But some of the older ones that have been run for years, it's a challenge. You just got to clean the hell out of it and rough it up. And I drill holes and stakes. But Darin taught me this. I preheat it like 200 for 15 minutes. Use a pair of gloves, get it out, let it kind of warm, put your epoxy in until it kind of stays where it wants to, put it back in the oven, bake it for a half hour, and you can pour it on an hour later.
Wow.
You don't have to let it wait overnight. Yeah. And the worst thing is I've literally never had it like come up in chunks. I've had it to where it starts flaking where it meets the aluminum.
Yeah.
So I code everything. I just do it. It's just habit. They have some. Yeah. Well, DevCon used to have a stuff called 2-ton clear epoxy.
Okay.
that was actually unleaded fuel safe. And they done away with that because Permatex owns them, I guess. And they have an epoxy called 2-ton clear, and it's got the same verbiage on the back. So but I've tried everything. I tried Gorilla. I tried all that stuff, but anything you can do will help it. Definitely.
So you coat it. You coat the epoxy then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So if you see anything it's got epoxy and it's really shiny.
Yeah, I've seen that. I would never know why.
Yeah. And then after you dyno it or run it, it'll dull the whole out. But it's still coated. Yeah. I literally, listen to this. This is no lie.
Do that.
My engine, I had some epoxy butt up to the seat ring because the throat was already too big.
Yeah.
And I literally used the stuff and I put epoxy on it, and I actually coated the seat, and I didn't know it. I literally dynoed it. I don't remember, 15, 20 pulls, pulled the heads, made some runs, pulled the heads, pulled it out, and that shit was still on the seats.
Wow.
No lie. So I don't think they were flowing the same because it had a bunch of epoxy on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Literally. It's funny.
Man, that's tough.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good stuff.
So there you go, Andrew. That's Epoxy 101. James Miller says, my engine guy from Florida sent you some 23-degree small block heads a year or two ago for a gasser class racer and was very happy with them.
I think I remember those too.
Yep. Thanks, James Miller.
Yeah, I was doing some of that Sega stuff. It was fun. It was cool. It was a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
The one-way technology head pretty much has the market on it. But they were making, I actually we did one that was like how big was that? 360, and it made almost 2.5 per cube.
Wow.
It did good.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those cars are insane, man, with the freaking
They are. Yeah. They're crazy. Yeah.
Charles says, burr finish needs less jet because it keeps the fuel and suspension better. I learned that in the early 90s.
Yep.
Thank you.
For sure.
This is a tough question. I don't know. I guess you can give a definition. It's probably not too hard. He says, can you explain about turbulence?
Well, I think there's good turbulence and bad turbulence because, in all honesty, when you're burr finishing it, that's what you're doing is introducing turbulence.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, think about it. I mean,
I didn't look at it that way.
A lot of people don't understand when you should and when you shouldn't burr something. Like a short side. I think there was, I don't know if somebody asked that before. Oh, that was an early question. Remember when they said burr on the short side, do you polish?
Yeah.
A short side should be polished. And the reason being is anything that's fast needs polished. Anything that's slow, you need to give a boundary layer and you rough it up.
Okay.
You know, so there's some people that will, I found it. If I burr a head out, I won't leave the short side burred. I'll always cartridge roll it, but I just found it easier. There's some guys that'll burr a floor, burr the left wall, common wall, wherever, it's just as easy to burr, so, but I've literally, I've had customers send me manifolds that have been just shit stained. Just total stained.
Really?
Burr finished them out. And I said, now I want you to pull carburetor off and I want you to send me a picture. And they are clean.
Wow.
So, yeah, it helps. Does it make more power? Don't know. Don't think so.
Only one way to find out.
Yeah.
Austin White, thank you for being here. He says, was a 23-degree Chevy head similar to what NASCAR run back in the day?
Yeah, well, they ran those Pontiac raised runner heads, which was the 867s. So you'll see a lot of guys. So that, and I believe, I'd have to confirm it, but I believe that same head is the Brodex 10 RI raised intake. It's the same head.
When did they have the 18-degree stuff?
See, that came later on. So when we were at Madcap, we did Colorado National did a lot of 390 stuff.
Okay.
They were all 23 degree, low port 23 dart heads. And actually, we were getting them all at the time from Bud Harper. And then I don't ever remember building any 18-degree stuff at all. It was all 23-degree.
Okay.
So they didn't really do a lot of restrictor stuff. So Joel would be probably better at that. I mean, I think the other night we were talking about that. Some of their stuff was restricted, was probably the 18-degree stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, we got 204 people out here watching this. That's a lot.
Good.
So, and there's a lot of comments to go through. So maybe even Joel's answer that down here. Good morning, Sean. He's from Australia. He ports heads, does a lot of the Barra stuff, that 6-cylinder Barra.
Yeah.
Definitely good. Thank you. Chad, it's an honor to carry on your history. Terry Wilkes, thank you for that. We appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks, Terry. I like working with those guys because it works out well for me, because he'll say, hey, I got a new project, just like we did that Stevenson LS head.
Yeah.
So he'll send me a head, and I'll spend 3-4 days on it, whatever. And we take it out and trade. I like that. You know, retainers. He does all, he makes tie 17 retainers in house. So I've been using those. He's going to be doing some the CNC stuff for me, the super stock stuff. So I like that. I like rolling that way.
The barter system, man, it's been around since cavemen, you know.
Exactly.
It's a good system. It's always not about money.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Mike Perry says, what brand silicone mix do you use for making port molds?
So there's a company called US Composites.
Clip it.
And what they're into is like face molds for like Hollywood, but they have some stuff that you can get it like a little harder than pencil, harder. It's brown. They have release agent, but it's a buttload cheaper than anything that's specifically made for ports. Like the blue stuff. But US Composites, just click on mold making and you can see the hardness of it and all that, but it's really good stuff. I think you can buy a gallon of it for like $30.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can't beat that.
No.
Can't even go to McDonald's for $30.
Not at all.
Grover Boys, good to see you, Adam. Thank you for being here. What do you use for epoxy and cylinder heads?
All I've ever used is Z-Spar Splash Zone.
Splash Zone. Yeah.
Yep. I've used Pour 15, had some stuff that was a lot like AB, a lot like the Moroso stuff. I didn't normally, before I started baking it, I wouldn't use like the Splash Zone if I was like designing something because it took forever to dry. So I would literally go and buy some Metal Bond, like an Ace. I mean, that shit sets up instantly, and you can grind on it. You can do whatever, but a lot of guys like Balanza or however you say it, and there's some other stuff that's out there, but Z-Spars really went up in the last year. And I think the last gallon I bought was $400, something like that. But it'll last a while. And another thing for you guys, the Goodson stuff that's been repackaged, same stuff. It's just got Goodson on it. And you can get it at any marine store.
Really?
So, yeah, that's what it's made for. It was actually made for boats. One time when I went out to, my father-in-law lives in San Diego area, and he's got a boat on the ocean. And I was goofing off one day, and I lifted up his hatch, and he had 2 cans of Splash Zone in there. And I'm like,
really?
Isn't that weird? Yeah.
Let's see, here we are. I'm outlining things. So here's the next one. Let's see. John Wilburn says, "I've been a great stream. I always learn things listening to DragBoss's Garage guests." Thank you, John. I appreciate that. Great information on cylinder head work from Rodney Lopez. Thank you. We appreciate you. Thanks for coming on, Chad. Precision Machine. Thank you for being here. Mario Leonel says, if I don't remember bad, once Chad said he cut the throat with his machine. It could be awesome if he made a video how to set the throat with a machine and how to blend it with a valve job. So he's from Argentina.
Yeah. So what I'll do sometimes, all of my cutters are custom cutters, and they'll take it. they'll take it to an honest 90%, right at 90. But if you want that extra, and I'm telling you, not all throats are round. Okay, some are oblong. But I will set up like my seat register cutter and just plunge it, and that way you're removing all that material. You don't have to dick with it. It's totally round. But not all, like I said, not all heads you can do that. A bracket thing or something like that. Like a super stock head, you'd never do that. I mean, because they're not round.
Oh, they're not?
No.
Okay.
No. And if you look at one, the back's got a vein that comes all the way to the seat because you're shrinking. You're looking for shrink up area.
More secrets, boys.
Yeah.
Listen closely. Joel says, Chad, you're doing a great job. You should talk more in the group. LL, baby.
That's your job, dude.
Joel, you can talk too.
Yeah, he can talk. That man can talk.
Man. And never stops. Like he keeps going to one topic, and it's like, geez, what the experience just pours out, man. I love it. Audi is out of pitot tubes. Where can we buy them now?
Get a hold of Bruce at PTS. I've got some Audis, and I have some of Bruce's got some that's got probably like I'd call it maybe like a 1/4 inch bend. And then he's got some that have like an 1/8 inch bend, and them 1/8 inch bend ones are badass. Believe it or not, pitot tube will affect depression because you're introducing it into the airstream.
Yeah.
The thing is, here's the thing. Here's another tip. If your port's good, you can stick that pitot tube in it. You can stick a flow ball in it. You can stick whatever in it. The depression should go down, and then no matter what's sticking in that port, it should come right back to 28 inches. Okay, follow me? That means whatever's behind it is shaped properly.
Right.
But the beauty of like the Sinez, and the reason why I kept that bitch because it's got a depression controller on it. So like I can probe now and set it at. It's got a little lag in it, so I have it set at like 27.7. But I can put my pitot tube in it, and it never fluctuates. It's always giving me the right reading because it's always adjusting to 28 inches. So, but yeah, get a hold of Bruce at PTS.
There you go, Bruce.
It's cool about Bruce too, for you guys, and I'm gonna own one. So my flow bench now has Audi, and it has a black box. And the only reason why I bought another black box for it is because I had freaking 15, 18 years worth of data. Well, I got hit by lightning and lost it.
Oh.
Okay. So Bruce is making a new manometer now, and you guys may not think it's a big deal, but if you understand what he's doing here. So basically, cross section is just math from how much air it's flowing and the velocity. Okay. So he's got a box that you can literally probe, and it'll tell you what the cross section is.
Really?
Yeah, it's cool.
Wow.
It's the way to do it. Because, you hear Darin's probably talked about effective and mean cross section. So effective would just be what it's actually seeing. This will tell you exactly what, you can measure it all out, do your math, however you want to do it. And if you've got 3 inches there and you put your probe in there and it's showing 2.6, it ain't moving enough air. And that's why I kind of get, I agree. No, honestly, 100%. Airflow is not the end all, but it's damn important, and because it gives you all the information you need to know. Average cross section, velocity, localized velocities, all of that. It's all dependent on how much air it's flowing. So first thing I'll do when I get a set of cylinder heads here is I'll measure it. I'll measure it all out. I'll get the minimum, start probing it, and if the thing isn't moving in the air for the area that's already there, there's no reason in making it bigger.
Bigger, yeah.
You're slowing it down. Mm-hmm. So you worry about a valve job. You concentrate on the throat, the short side, that kind of deal. So I see that a lot to where, it's not flowing in the air. So the guys go in there and think, all right, give it more area. Well, no.
Slowing it down worse. Yeah.
Exactly. Wow. Yeah. So airflow is important. It's important.
Where'd you go? You kind of fell down there a little bit.
I know. I had a second here. Let me fix it.
Yeah. Because I was like, where did he go?
I had to have a staple underneath this computer. Kind
Oh,
of
to get the right height. So we're the right height. Yeah.
But
We did
but
all
yeah.
that before.
So yeah, I mean it's definitely important. I mean I care about what it flows. Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know. I've never really. I guess I haven't heard that recently, or even I can remember that when you measure that and you don't need to do anything with the heads. They're already big enough. The ports. Don't mess with that. Go to the valve job and work there. I haven't really heard that before.
Yeah, it's not moving any air. So
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all dependent on the porter. I mean, because some guys could want your minimum at 280 feet per second. Some guys may want it at 300.
Right.
So it all comes down to the porter. So the first thing I do is I target a velocity. If it's a comp head, you go straight to 350. I do. If it's a bracket head, that kind of deal, 310.
Just from experience. I mean, that's from
Yeah.
20-something years experience. That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
Saves a lot of time, I bet.
Yeah. So you can lay it all out on a piece of paper.
Yep.
And that's how I do it. And just start going from there. The worst thing you want to do, and it's the truth, is for guys that are just doing it, to always start small in the throat. And then after you think you're where you want to be, then go make that thing bigger. Because what happens is you start moving shit around. Next thing you know, you've flown a ton of air, but you got a 94% throat. And you're like, dang,
Right.
How'd that happen? Well, I'll tell you how. You went straight to size.
Right.
Don't do that. Yeah.
It's hard to go back. That's what Darin says,
Yeah, you can.
454 high output says, I have a set of Sulaco Bowtie 615 heads. Beautiful heads. Great live check.
Yeah, I got a guy, a comp racer, Division 5 guy, Mike Foster, and he actually sent, just today I got it, a Sulaco 615 head that I'm here to seat in. He wants me to put a seat in for him. And yeah, those guys, I want to so bad take pictures of it and post it up because guys, it's shit. All the well.
Who is he? Who are they?
He's in Pennsylvania. He's he's the guy. I mean, Book uses him. Patterson uses him. I've just been around a long time, and yeah, he did a lot of cool stuff in Pro Stock Truck and that kind of deal.
Terry says, "Hey guys, I've got an 18-degree GM X NASCAR headed 436 small block Chevy, peak 7,300 RPM, with NASCAR restrictor plate manifold, Edelbrock. Engine shows 775. I would like to switch to the 2859 Victor Glidden 18-degree. Would it work?"
Yeah, it should. The 2859, if I remember right, is a one-piece manifold. I think there's probably better manifolds out there. If I was doing it, you could get a 2858 and a pan is what I would use.
There you go.
Yeah, the one-piece manifold. That one-piece manifold is what you just said. It's really small, and that's probably your 7300 right there. Yeah. So unless you're happy with the 7300, then it's a great manifold because then you don't have to buy a plate, a valley tray.
I remember Darin saying something about restrictor engines that you got to increase the plenum.
Yeah.
To get the power.
That manifold's really small plenum, so it's probably going to want to stack spacers on top of it. That's another issue. Yeah.
Thanks, Terry. We appreciate that. Turbo Johnny 86 says, Chad, do you have any experience porting OEM LS7 heads?
No.
There you go.
Here's the deal. Everybody does LS heads, which is fine. And my thought process is there's a lot of good ones out there. And if I float a lot of good ones, the design stuff's good, the math stuff's good. If I didn't think I can make it any better,
don't waste your time.
Exactly.
Yep.
And that's a great head. And I know guys that, some guys will say, read some of the stuff I post online about LSF and think I hate them. I don't hate them. I just like rubbing people.
Everybody and their brother's doing it. So
yeah.
Ty says it's just a huge responsibility to work on other people's stuff, especially when you're learning.
Yeah. It is. It definitely. Sometimes just today actually. It's funny. Just today, I'm working on this I'm finishing up this iron 4-cylinder pinto head. Okay.
Yeah. Like a 2300 or something.
Yeah. And those ports are pretty cool. Those ports,
wow.
They're cool. The shape's awesome. And I'm sitting here grinding on this thing. And I'm like, this head's so good. Here I am grinding on it. I mean, it's better. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's just, I stop myself every once in a while. I get a head from Profiler and it's a CNC 13 degree and they're $2,500 a piece and you're in there porting on it.
Ooh.
And that it goes through my head, and I've been really fortunate. I haven't screwed much stuff up, and believe me, if you do, you're the first person that will know because they'll tell you,
Greg says, I have a 548 big block Chevy built up from a 496. I used a set of Edelbrock's 60409s, 112cc chambers. I've been told my heads are choking my engine. I need advice for new heads, please.
Yeah, I think if I remember right, that 409 is like a 312 port or something like that.
What, CC? I mean, volume-wise, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah. I'd have to look it up for sure. Yeah, I'd have to say I totally agree with him. That's probably pretty small. Probably ideal for your 496.
Correct.
Probably way small for your 548.
There you go, Greg. There's some advice. SC457A says, I just like reading Chad deal with his Facebook channel's shenanigans.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
yeah,
that's how it is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not.
Don't hold back.
No. Life's too short, man.
Hell yeah. That's how I look at it. Tim Hilliard says, 36 years in this industry, I still have customers that used to walk in my little speed shop in 1993.
It's pretty awesome.
Do you have customers that you've had like since the beginning of time?
Yeah. Well, one of them would be Chris Cobb. I mean, I've done a lot of stuff. We've done a lot of stuff together. I always said if I could find like 10 really, really good engine builders, I would do away. But I kind of weeded myself out of the street stuff. I'm not saying that I ever had a lot of problems, but it seemed like the problems that I would have would just be from the street guys, just simply because of hot rod magazines and that kind of deal. Mm-hmm. So that's the beauty of being in business as long as you are, is you can be selective on what you want to do. And,
there's no doubt about that.
I'm grateful for that. It would be really bad if you had to just work on, and I did in the beginning. I'd work on anything. I didn't give a shit. Right. I did as much iron as anybody in the country, but now I'm paying for it,
Probably really are.
Oh yeah.
Probably from that.
Yeah.
So Darin said, I don't even want to look at iron.
Yeah, no, I know.
Cleveland Fox 1081. Hi, Chad. I've got Trick Flow R head. I'd like to have digitized. Any advice who I could reach out to as an amateur head porter? I guess to get this program digitized is what.
Well, like I said, Terry does good work. I mean, I wouldn't be afraid to send anything to Terry.
Terry Wilkes, you're saying?
Yeah. I mean, I agree would do it. But if he just has questions, send me an email. I don't care. Yeah, that's no problem.
All right, Cleveland Fox.
The thing that I ran into is damn Facebook. Now, for some damn reason, everybody that posts, it also sends it to my messenger. So all of my messenger questions get mixed up, and I may have 60 of them a day, and I don't know who's asking a question or who's. And it's so. I just suggest if anybody, you go to my website and you can fill out that page, or even my personal account. Friend me, I don't care. But everything's just getting intertwined, and I can't make heads or tails out of it anymore.
I don't get any of that, but you're getting every post on your page goes to your
Messenger.
Wow.
I know it sucks.
Yeah, it does suck.
Bad.
Andrew says, Chad, after your retirement, we'd like to see you write a book on how to deal with Facebook trolls.
I don't have any answers. I don't know.
You don't have time for that book.
No, I'm learning in my old age. I just, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Early on, all I was trying to do was to teach somebody something, maybe.
Yep.
And I always felt like if I just deleted them, that I was denying them a chance to learn something. But now I'm learning that just delete them. So that's what I've been doing. And it's not worth it. It's not worth it. They're not going to learn anything because they already got like Darin's favorite thing he used to tell me, they got a concrete mind.
That's it.
It's already mixed and set. So that you're not changing anybody's mind, no one's opinion. Just delete them. And I have no problem with somebody that says, that's not how I would do it. I have the problem with the guys that say, I know more than you'll ever know. Shut up. Okay. And?
I mean, there's actually guys that say that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. See, I don't have time for that. I haven't been on your page and really read all that stuff. I look at the pictures.
I try to delete it as fast because it's not fair to the other people that have to wade through all the bullshit. That's
exactly, man. Force Fed, good to see you here. Hey, guys, thanks for this awesome live feed. You're welcome. Question, Chad, in your opinion, what's the best 24-degree big block Chevy rectangle port intake manifold for 540 cubic inch RPM range 7,500? Even intake that will improve with porting.
There's a lot of good manifolds out there, but I'm still kind of partial to the Sniper Junior. Depending on what head that is, you can call them and say, I have a Dart 355, and they can send you one that's port matched to a 355.
Now, who does that?
Profiler.
There you go.
So the only difference between the Sniper and the Sniper Junior and the Sniper is, I think the plenum was like 40 or 60 cc smaller. Okay. The runners are the same length, so they're all tuned to 7,500, and they were all really designed for a 555. So it's right up your alley. They take a little work. They all do. You can make them better, yeah. But it's a really good manifold. But I see everybody's got them now. Edelbrock has theirs, and Brodex, and I just got two in today for an engine builder that builds big engines, and they're both Snipers. So he's still using Snipers.
Call a profiler, see what they have to say.
Yeah, call over and talk to Mike.
There it is, Mike. It is. Thank you, Force Fed. David says, hi, Chad. You used to list Edelbrock Pontiac heads on your website. I don't see them anymore. Do you still port those?
That was actually the Engine Master's head. It was a Pro port. It had to be CNC'd. And then when I lost the CNCs, I just kind of took all those heads off the website because I wasn't really sure what was going to happen. And I've learned that Jason told me that he sold the machine, and these guys are supposed to be getting it up and going. So maybe some of those queer programs I'll have back. So there's also CP Pistons did a Buick Engine Masters, and that program's there too. I have it. So okay. There's some strange ones there, but as far as hand porting them, yeah, the thing is, here's the thing you got to remember is with the general ability of CNC machines, when you get to a Pro port head like that, if you want to pay the money, yeah, I'll do it. But I'm the first guy to tell you that it's going to be more money than if you found.
See, yeah.
It just takes a lot of work. Most guys don't realize is when you start with a Pro port head like that, you're 3 valve jobs, because you got to get them close, you got to get them roughed in, and then you got to do all your work, and then you got to go back and you got to do them again. You got to blend them. 2 for sure, So it's a lot of work.
So if it's CNC, then it comes down to if you're going to hand finish it, right?
Yeah. So here's what I always make sure my CNC programs were mathematically correct.
Okay.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
That way, if I had, say, like a dart truck pulling head, it was dimensionally correct for a 2-300 valve because most guys were running them on a 4-3-10 bore, okay, or whatever the case might be. Mm-hmm. Then I would take that CNC head and hand tailor it to if they were going to build a 540 or something of that nature. Because really, at that point, the exhaust port's okay. You may have to do a little bit of chamber work, but it takes away all of the. Just as long as they were right and correct, mathematically correct, out of the box, then you could tweak them to whatever you were doing.
Okay. Get back up to the next question, and now this Mike is from New Zealand.
Mike, okay.
And he races that boat that you see in his little picture. I mean, they're like.
I've actually sent several of those heads over for that
2,000 horsepower.
So I hear about. I'm going to say, quick little story.
Yeah.
Probably in 2014, John Mitchum from over there was the guy building the engines, and I supplied my first set of dart iron 23-degree heads to John. And say 2014, I sent him 2 sets of new heads every year till about 2020, and they won the championship in that class every year. So when we first started with that dart head, they had rules so far off deck, 2100 valve, 1207, I believe. Anyway, so when we first started with those engines, I have to get the exact numbers. I'm just kind of going off the top of my head. Yeah. Let's say we made 680. They were 406s. That'd use a 4150 carburetor. At the end of those 6 years, with that same head, from what we learned, they were making 740. No shit. Wow. Yeah. So then they opened up the class to where they allowed aluminum heads, and then John unfortunately passed here about a year ago. I literally did a head. I've sent 3 sets of heads over so far, not to him, to other guys.
Yeah.
But I did a port for Terry because they had a divider width rule, like 140. So I redid a port, and we got a head specifically for that class. But yeah, so John was a big help in that, and we learned a lot in that 6 years for sure.
It's amazing. I never knew that you did stuff like overseas.
Yeah. That figure 8 boat racing is the shit. Those guys are plain nuts.
They are nuts, man. I'm telling you, Mike.
They are nuts. Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, let's see, what did he say here?
He said, with a 23-degree head, everything else being equal, how much of an advantage, flow and performance-wise, would you say there is with a 60-40 shift compared to standard valve spacing?
I think it depends on valve size. So, like, the only standard valve spacing head that I know of right now is a dart. The dart 23-degree is a 1/860. So, like, all the other ones, I wouldn't call them 60-40. They all have shift.
Okay. And
the way you know is because you can get it bigger than a 2/100 valve in it. If you got a head that's got a 2/125 valve in it, it's got some shift. You know what I mean? Because yeah, there's definitely, because think about what it's doing. It's moving everything over away from that bore wall, so it's going to flow better. It's going to make more power. But strangely, the power that we picked up in all those years was with a standard valve spacing, and I think he's answering that question because they opened up those rules where you can do that now. So yes, it's definitely worth upgrading. Definitely.
There you go, Mike.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. Ty says, even with the Mopar pushrod pinch, what about the localized velocity on the short side?
Well, I'm actually doing a set of super stock Mopar heads right now.
Bingo.
And it's exactly like the small block.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're a lot alike. You can't get them big enough, obviously. I don't remember. I'm going to have to go back and look, but that head can be bigger because the Chevy stuff's 172. If I remember, I'm thinking those are 175, and believe it or not, 3 cc's is a shit ton.
Really?
When it comes to cross section.
Yeah.
7 cc's is it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah. So yeah, they would be a lot alike in a lot of ways. Yeah. Yeah. I actually did a Mopar manifold for Denny Stewart. And see that you can. The cool thing about Superstock is you can put whatever you want on for manifold. You can put a fabricated manifold on it. You can drill holes. You can put spacers on it. You can do whatever. So that Mopar manifold is really good. It's a really good manifold. Yeah, I've done several of them.
There you go. Thanks, Ty. Kenny says, I notice you don't do a lot of high ports. It seems the port flow is low and then goes up a ramp to the short side.
Well, it kind of depends on what we're working on. I mean, all the Superstock stuff, obviously, it's got half-inch epoxy in the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm working on a set right now for a customer, a set of 2.7s that I'm oval porting. And they're going to have some epoxy on it. But here's the thing. That's the nature of a 23 degree. I mean, there ain't no way around it. There's none. And you can fill all that in. You can fill it in, but here's the problem is you don't have any cross section. You fill the bottom and make the floor flat, you might be at 1.8 inches at the push rod. What's it good for? Nothing. So you got to dig it out. It's just got to be that way. Yeah. But all the Superstock stuff is high port. Yeah, for sure.
Thanks, Kenny. Blake Cartwright says, totally enjoying this. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Chad.
Yes.
We appreciate that. Charles says, Bernoulli equation. The restriction causes the pressure to drop due to increased velocity. That 1.9 pinch is not seeing 28. It is seeing more and can flow more than the 146.
There you go. I knew he would know.
Yeah.
Knew he would know. Yeah. And honestly, that's exactly what I see. I see that. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Thanks, Charles. We should probably come out and do a live chat.
Yeah.
Mark, he's from Australia, Mark Bushy. He says, what's the best? You have got out a set of 492 Fuelies.
So say like an 041 487X, all that kind of stuff was pretty much what the Superstock guys were using before they would allow the aftermarket stuff, which in the aftermarket stuff, the only aluminum head available is the Edelbrock. We tried to get a profiler approved, and they basically laughed at us. But like Dart, World Products, RHS irons are all legal for Superstock. Long story short, those heads have to be 165 cc's. Okay, all the OEM old iron.
Okay,
a good one here on my bench, 270, somewhere in that neighborhood. Yeah, but here's what you got to remember: the Edelbrock flows more at 500 than those do at an inch. That's why they make you run weight. And also, the old iron needs to be 165, and the Edelbrock's 172. So they give you more cc's, but it makes night and day. Those engines, they're doing crazy things for compression and cubic inch size, and the rules you got to follow. Like mine's got to run a 780 vacuum secondary.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's built to 1970 LT1 specs. So it's got to have the same compression that an LT1 had. It's got to have the same piston, basically. Not it doesn't have to be OEM, but you got a set of specs you got to build to. Those were all 202 heads back then, so I can run a 202. But
is this your engine here?
That's it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's badass, man.
It is. Yeah.
It really is.
I'll say I don't, because it doesn't bother me, and some people don't want me to, but it's a 358. And I've had it on the dyno 3 times this year. 3 times since I built it. And that's with the new manifold. And that manifold, it averaged 8 more torque 8 more horsepower, and it made 8 more horsepower all the way through the pool.
Wow.
And that engine, like I said, is a 358, 11.8-to-1, 780 carb. Heads are good. I worked my ass off on them. 660 is what it made. So I know I've heard stories of guys making more. I don't know how. But that's what got me into Superstock, is because all I wanted to do was build an engine. That's it. I called Brian Weinhold, my buddy, and I said, Brian, let's build a Superstock engine. Why would you want to do that? Because I'm doing a lot of heads, and I just want to know what the hell's going on here, And my first engine to this engine right here, in the same trim, 45 foot-pounds of torque I found, and that was in 30 dyno pools.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're gonna find out. I mean, not all. You can't go by that. I did it at Cobb's, and Cobb's got a Stutska.
Yeah.
I took it to Nest City, which they are a certified race saver Superflow. They come out every year and certify it, so it's legit. And I carbon copied on the break to get my average before I changed manifolds. I carbon copied what Cobb made, exactly the same. And then
I can remember your intake, seeing the pictures of it, how you had all the epoxy in it and all that. I mean, how many hours did you have on that intake?
I had 100 in it.
Jesus.
I did. I had 100 in it, and I had 8 hours. I had my local guy weld it because I kept running it over to him.
Yeah.
I had $800 worth of welding in it and 100 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. Nobody would buy it. I'll put it to you that way. It worked, though. I'm real curious to see how it. I mean, it's got to be. The story is how it goes down the track, But it definitely excelled quicker. That's why I wanted to baseline it with the old manifold, and I don't know if you saw it, but I posted just a snippet of it, and the graph was literally this, just followed all the way up that much higher. 8 horsepower, 8 foot-pounds of torque, start to finish. And it peaked at 7,500, which is pretty good for
where you want it. Yeah.
172 cc head. So going by that, finding what I found, it's pretty crazy to me.
It's competition, man. It's tight. You can only do so much with that.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. It's like the truck pulling guys. They did a ton of truck pulling heads. They guarded that crap like Fort Knox.
Do they really?
Yeah, they didn't want to give me dyno sheets. The Superstock. Here's what I tell everybody. So if anybody's listening, if you don't want me to share it, don't give me a dyno sheet and don't send me a picture. You know what I mean? That's the easiest way ever. And the Superstock guys, they don't want to give out dyno sheets. I get it. It's fine. And I was sharing a lot of Superstock stuff. And one of the reasons I did is because guys would not believe what these engines are doing. Yeah. It's a 23 degree. It's dead. They're dead. Nobody's doing it anymore. Look what we're doing with these 23 degrees. Okay. To get business, to sell heads. Yeah. I mean, come on. But I was getting some feedback from some guys that come before me that were the guys.
Yeah.
Like, you don't understand this yet, the Superstock game. You're probably sharing too much. I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. It's probably time to keep it. I've got 30 guys out there. I've got some guys that are heavy hitters now. So that's mission accomplished. Yep. I can share my shit because it's mine. My engine made 660s. The next guys might make 690. I don't know. But yeah. Don't give me a dyno sheet or a picture if you don't want me to ever share it. Now, I've had guys give it to me and say, please don't share it, and I won't.
Right.
And out of courtesy to the other customers, I don't want to share just one guy's stuff. You know what I mean? It's just it's just not fair to them. So Superstock stuff, I kind of laid back. The rest of the stuff, I'll share it.
$6 Glock says, glad to see Chad on your live stream. Thank you. He will forget more about cylinder heads than most will ever know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm just me. You know, I if you have a basic understanding, I mean, people are like, I get emails like, have you ever worked on an Ol's head? Well, you know what? No, but air's dumb. Air's air.
It is.
We're velocity managers, you know, but
velocity manager.
I've been very fortunate. I don't ever claim, you know, we've had this conversation, you know, Darin, Joel, those guys can get into the meat and potatoes of this is why this wanted to be candid and this is why this wanted to be this way. You know, I'm not that guy. I'm the guy that says I shipped out a head that was the other way and those guys were right because it didn't work. You know, I'm that guy because in the beginning I sent out a lot of shit and I told guys I did this a little different. Let me know how it goes. How else do you learn? That's you right. know, and now with the 23-degree stuff and the V factor stuff's all dialed in, you know, you can use those principles and it will apply to everything. It just applies to everything, you know. I have 3 or 4 valve seat cutters I use on everything because they work.
Okay.
You know, and how did I come up with them? Stones. It was originally the first one I started out was one from Darin. It had like a 38 top, this, and this. And I started playing with stones and the flow bench and alcohol and Dicam. I came up with something that I felt was working better in the port. I had a cutter made, and that's what I've been using for 10 years.
Really?
Yeah. I use it on the V factor stuff. I use it on the super stock stuff. I use it on everything. Same cutter. Same cutter with, say, different chambers. I just changed the top cut. Yep. So the 50, you know, have a 40 top, 45 top, 52, you know, you just make it fit the chamber.
Joel says the 18-degree heads came into existence about the same time as the small block Chevy Buick head. NASCAR was contemplating which one to use in Cup around mid-'80s.
Yeah, I do know that, like I said, back then, the Madcap, we didn't do too much Chevy stuff, but I will tell you this.
Yeah.
The absolute best Dart Buick comp eliminator engine would run with an average Chevy. Yes.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. The Dart Buicks made more torque, and that's why we were so hip on them out there, is because we were in 10,000 foot of air. So that was the thinking there, you know. But yeah, we didn't. I built a Chevy one time, a CED 15-degree Chevy, and
yeah,
first hit it was faster than the Buick ever went. You know, you got those cars. You know, that little Bantam I was talking about, with me in it, weighed 1,400 pounds.
Wow.
Ready to make a run. They were running 830s with a 4-cylinder. The B Econo Dragster weighed 1,440. And that thing at that time had it was like a 348. It made 825.
Damn.
And that car would run 750 at Denver.
In Denver.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I got out of BED right when the first guy ran 6. They were running 6s, but it would run 758, 760. The C Econo Dragster that Melanie and I had, she ran that car, would run 8.0s.
Wow.
In Vandermeer with a 304-inch engine and a 750. That was in the late mid-90s.
Damn, man.
Yeah. Should have B Econo Dragster now is running low 80s, 680s with a wedge. It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
This gentleman says, 23-degree head. Do you like tall, short side like Proto line? I think he's saying profile.
Pro top line, yeah.
Or do you like the short side?
Well, let me put it to you this way. All of the V factor stuff, the tallest one's an inch off deck. 2 of them are 900 and one of them's an inch and one of them's 950. I believe it depends on what you're trying to accomplish. If you want a street engine and you want good low end power, that tall short side is going to make some killer low numbers. I personally, my belief is if I've got 600 lift in it, or if I've got 900, I still want it to flow to an inch. So I'll sacrifice low to get it to keep going, because, you know, if it does it at 28 inches, it'll do it far sooner on a live engine. So all of my stuff, I've got one head, one of the V factors, at 28 inches, it's rock solid all the way through the curve. If you flow it at 48, it'll go backwards at one number up top. I left it because it made power. But the higher you can flow it, obviously, the more real world you're going to see. But yeah, I believe that low, pulled back, short sides make more power.
Perfect.
Totally.
Thank you. User Y4 says, Chad, thanks for taking the time to answer the questions. Are you concerned with how smooth the port gets after you seal them? I roughed up the last set of heads I did with 80 grit.
Yeah. So like the super stock heads, I've had some guys question me, why is it rough? Here, I'll tell you why. Because I'll go in there and I'll rough up everything because I don't know where the epoxy's going.
Yeah.
Or where it's going to end up.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, it's just easier to do it and then seal it up. Then after it's sealed, I may put break like a cartridge roll and just put it on a mandrel and make it a flapper paper.
Yeah. And
then hit all of the burr in that head. And you can see, because what it does, it just knocks it all down. It makes it look nice and uniform. I don't necessarily will do it on the epoxy, but I'll definitely do it. Because in one of those heads, the only thing on the floor that's not plastic is the actual where it goes over the apex. All the way to the floor, it's got plastic.
Oh, epoxy.
The vein in the back goes all the way to the seat ring. So it's really hard. It's really hard to smooth it all up, put epoxy in it. So it's just easier to do that. It's easier.
There you go. Thank you. Ryan Carmichael. Now, he's a member of Knowledge is Power. He says, what would you do on a lift limited engine? You can put a big enough valve in it to get the CFM you need at low lift. Where would you put the minimum cross section?
I don't think you'd have a choice. It's going to be the secondary choke, especially if it's limited. I mean, how big a valve are you talking? Probably, I'm trying to think on some of those, probably 250, 300, somewhere in there. That's a lot of cross section. Yeah, so you're not gonna. But I tell you what, honestly, here's the thing. It's just like that Engine Master. So that's exactly the same scenario. So that thing I'd have to look to confirm. I'm thinking, let's say it's a 2-300 valve.
Okay.
It had what did it have? I'd have to use my calculator. 380 CFM times 2.4 divided by 350 is how much cross section it had at the push rod. But the reason, and it was 350 feet per second. But the reason why it worked is because the floor was ass wide, and I really slowed the air down for that big valve. Okay, so that's the key. The floor. Remember I said before, the floor trumps the secondary choke. It's because you can get the floor wide enough to slow the air down. So that's exactly the same scenario as that. And that engine, it finished like 7th or 8th that year when they allowed LSs. We had to compete against the LS and a Coyote. And so it did well, but that thing was like 428 inches, and I think it made like 740. Wow. Pump gas. It was evil. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it made like 1.5 torque per cubic inch. Yeah. But yeah, it's the same scenario as that Engine Masters. And you know what? I still use that 30 today. That's a super stock head. That's a V factor head. That's all those heads that you can't get the minimum at the seat ring. That's why I like calling it the secondary choke. So anything that I would have a secondary choke would be a limited engine.
Okay.
Where you can't, in a perfect world, you want the seat ring the minimum. Sometimes you just can't do it.
Thanks, Ryan. Congrats on 30,000. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Has Chad ported any Siamese port heads, class limited type stuff If so, did he find any good gains?
No, never really from scratch, but I did a lot of like when Nick Ferry was on his own. I did a lot of valve jobbing, a lot of touch up, a lot of seats, a lot of guides, on stuff like that. And I'd always flow them to make sure we didn't lose anything. But the actual start with a fresh something, no, never. And the reason I didn't is because, well, being a small block guy, it seemed like everybody either it was a 23 degree or everybody went straight to a 13 degree. That kind of stuff was like the comp eliminator stuff. So the comp stuff, most of those guys were running a wedge or an SB2. Now the SB2, I've done a lot of those. It's a great head.
Yeah.
So from scratch, yeah, I actually had a killer program that's on that machine. So those were like 400-inch engines, one carburetor, 400s, and they would make 1,010, somewhere in there with an SB2 comp deal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I have that program. But yeah, I just more or less just valve job and kind of stuff like that.
Perfect. Hey, Tim, Chad, sorry I'm late. I had urgent issues. Don't let it happen again. We start promptly at 7 p.m. Thanks, Jeff. Up Drag Racer. Been a great podcast. Thanks for this, Tim and Chad. We both thank you. I have a great set of heads done by Chad on my 49 big block 68 Camaro. Fastest street-driven car I have ever driven.
Yeah, they're all burr finished.
There it is. Burr, baby.
Heads and manifold.
Appreciate that.
I don't really remember names, but I can definitely remember heads and who they went to.
And it's funny, though. Sometimes something will click. It'll be like, bam. Oh, yeah, now I knew who it is.
Yeah.
You'll say something else. Or let's see where we are. Talking about your Facebook post. We heard about that. And Mike says, thanks, Chad. Appreciate your answer and taking the time out for us. We do, too.
Yeah.
Now, here's an excuse now from another person. Jeff, we just heard from. He says, I was involved in a super stock build, and the car we acquired had lots of tricks that taught me a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I'll tell you this right now, and I mean it. If you haven't stood in front of an iron head for 100 hours, or you haven't built a super stock engine, or you haven't ported a set of super stock heads, you don't know anything, because they are the most efficient engines on the planet. Talk about more with less. They blow me away. They really do. No vacuum pump, nothing just blows you away.
Iron head, that's the thing that kills me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, we'll let it go this time, Jeff.
But yeah, so the bad thing about super stock yesterday, so I went and put some runs on this car, and I posted a picture of the rear end on Facebook, and a couple guys popped in and said, "Are you going to run that in super stock?" I said, "Yeah, you can. It's illegal." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Go to such and such page. I went to such and such page, clear as day. Fabricated rear ends not legal in super stock. I'm like, you got to be shitting me. So long story short, an OEM they'll allow a 9-inch Ford in a Chevy, but they won't allow a fabricated. Okay, so I got a hold of my buddy Joe, and Cowan out there. I don't remember what he calls his shop. Built me a badass, nice OEM. Put the symmetrical lamb rod ends on it. I spent $3,500 on its rear end. It's nice. Got it in the car, made 6 runs. Yesterday, they come out with some new roll updates. Guess what roll 12B is? Sheet metal rear ends allowed in GT Superstock.
Wow.
No shit. That made me mad.
Yeah.
I got mad over that one. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So I spent 30. I mean, I couldn't get anything out of the rear end. I mean, it was fit for that car,
Right.
you know. So I think I sold it for $1,000, you know. NHRA.
Welcome.
Yep.
Air is air. Does different fuels affect any velocity just due to the gravity of the fuel?
Yeah, I would say yeah. I mean, and I think that's why it's all due to the camshaft. And one of the things that really opened up my eyes to that was Rick Jones and his induction what does he call it? Induction control, his camshaft deal. Okay. And the beauty of that is you put in your minimum, your average cross sections. It tells you what you want, what it needs for a valve. It tells you if you're undervalved. It tells you with that valve and that much flow and that minimum, how much velocity it has. Mm-hmm. You can tailor it. You can actually, okay, so it's based off of velocity, but you can literally take that head, you can literally put methanol, and you can put 7,500 RPM, and it's amazing how much the heavier fuels from like race gas and methanol to like nitrous to like anything that you're adding that's heavy to the port makes the camshaft change. It's crazy. I think if guys really, and I've really never seen a program that's taken all that into consideration. You know, they're like 7,500 RPM, this bore, this stroke, this feet per second. You're going to need a duration of this, but this literally gets into potential VE, what it's supposed to make. And do you have it?
No.
It's accurate. It's crazy as hell. And I know some of those cam guys use it because I'll run it before I get a recommendation, and it always comes back when I'm like, holy shit, they got to be using this thing. But yeah, so yeah, I truly believe, you know, that the heavier fuel changes the velocity. Where the minimum is in that port will change what kind of I mean, it's all related. It's like Joel keeps saying, it's a system. It's got to be happy.
And I mean, look at it. Weight. You know what I'm saying? It's a viable measurement. It's observed.
Yeah.
It's going to make a difference.
It's definitely going to make a difference. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I would port a little different too. I mean, if a guy calls me and says, I've got a 427 that's running on alcohol, I would probably slow the average feet per second down. You know what I mean? I wouldn't speed it up.
Right.
I'd probably slow it down. So yeah, I would consider, I definitely consider all that. Yeah.
Tony Pierce, good to see you, Tony. Chad is awesome. And I remember the Dandy Davis Chevy. It was super nice.
It was, man. I the same people that we traded with still own it. It's in a barn. It caught fire. Yeah, I tried to buy it back several times. Danny Davis himself called me trying to buy it back. But yeah, I mean, how cool was I? I was literally 18 years old and driving probably one of the most iconic 66 Novas that ever out there. Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was a Nash 5-speed too. So I'm 18 years old, bracket racing a Nash 5-speed. Yeah, it was the shit. It was fun.
Jeff said it was a comp Buick-headed small block Chevy, would chirp or squeak at idle from high velocity exhaust ports and extreme compression.
Yeah, it's got that. That's how it was. Yeah, and the super stock engine's that way. It's got its. I've got a video. I've got an engine clip, and it gives me chills. Another thing that's cool is Brian. Went with me the first time, and he videoed. He put it up to the collector and hit record, and then he slowed it down in slow motion. You can hear it. You can hear it popping. It's the coolest thing ever. Yeah, but they have their own distinct sound. Definitely have their own distinct. And because the chambers were so small in this dark Buick, mine were like 28 cc's.
Wow.
When you think about it, this is mid 90s, and that had a 2-100 valve and flowed 360.
That's crazy flow for that.
Yeah. I
mean, how much compression were they?
15? Not a lot. You couldn't get a lot because it only had like a 298 or a 3-inch stroke in them. So you're lucky to get 14-1, and that's probably what killed him up there. And that's why I liked it, or why I wanted a Buick back then, is because you get a 28 chamber, you know.
Not to go back, but that Chevy too, that thing burned. Is that the one that was crashed that you said?
No, this caught fire, and then they just put it in the barn and parked it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Get it out, baby.
Yeah. They still have it. It was so unique. I don't know. I'll send you a picture of it.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, it was a cool car.
Eric McMahon says, I saw the video that Chad posted. Shout about his low profile intake. Lots of work, but made more power. Pretty awesome. Thanks, Eric.
It was pretty awesome. It all worked out. I mean, I was really worried about it because it had like a bolt on top on it. I was worried. I mean, the center two ones I got really nice, but the end ones just basically had a flat top, and then it went into a port. I'm like, this is gonna kill it. It didn't. It actually worked out pretty good. I'd like to do another one because I would change some things up.
See, you learn something from it, I guess.
Yeah.
Very many people do super stock small block shed heads.
Yeah, believe it or not. I mean, super stock still it's the backbone of NHRA drag racing. I mean, you look at the car counts. I mean, some of the division races last year had 60 plus cars. You know,
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, and you know the thing is it's after you're qualified, it's a dial-in, it's a bracket race, you know, and it's one of those classes to where it's got rules, and a lot of people don't like rules. I love rules. I mean, it makes the playing fields even.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just who can do more with less, and you know, and you know, I've been really lucky. I mean, like I said, I've had FJ help me a bunch. I got some really good customers now. You know, I'm doing a lot of nice stuff. You know, and you know, and the thing is some of the older guys that were the hitters in it have, you know, passed on or retired or not doing as much, and you know, if a guy like me can have 6 sets going, I can only imagine, you know, what some of these other shops got.
It's one of the classes that are still going strong compared to, like, you know.
Yeah, like a super. Yeah, I mean,
super gas.
Yeah, a fully loaded head without rockers, stainless valves now. You got to put stainless valves. So it's got like a hollow stem in it. It's got like a pack 1330 or 1356, tie 17 retainers, tie locks, all port work, all epoxy work, corrected, angle milled, manifold included, 12.5.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's pretty reasonable when you think about it.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot, and the CNC machine helped a lot. I mean, I literally did a set of heads, and I was in between CNC shops, and I'm not kidding you. You'd ask my dad if he was there. I had a month in them. Making them right, making everything the same.
Month?
A month.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've never seen this question before. It's kind of interesting. How well would a sandblasted surface finish work?
Oh, they do it. It's been done. Yeah, I'm sure Joel could tell you all about it. Yeah. And actually,
that's interesting.
Yeah. And actually, we were just talking about this week, and my buddy, they have so in stock, you can't do any work to them. They're doing work to them. But ABS has got a machine called the Cheating Bastard. And it puts out this special media that blasts it, makes it look just like as cast.
Almost like a extrude hone. Remember that back in the day?
Yeah. This just beats it, makes it look like it come right out of it. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I don't do many stalker heads. I tell people if you want to be slow and average, yeah, I'll do one because I don't have the ability to hide it.
Right.
You know.
Thanks for your time. Turner Wrench says thank you. Sure. The R-Dub 82. Good to hear from you. Is there any small block forward head that comes to mind that has the same characteristics as a trick flow twisted wedge R heads, but with raised intake runners as well? Application would be a high compression NA motor.
Yeah, I would say that Kuntz high port. Kuntz had that Brodix high port 20 degree. Have you seen one?
No.
Oh yeah.
No. Unless I know I can see.
Yeah, it's a high port. Yeah. Yeah, they flowed a lot of air. Yeah.
Did they really?
Yeah, and actually, I use that the Kuntz Brodex casting. What was that? Like the 7721, so like the 15 degree.
Yeah.
For my nitrous guys, I had a really killer 7721 program, and the problem was they were really thin in between the exhaust and they'd crack. But those guys were fast. So the casting came out. I got a set, did a program. Chambers are a little goofy, but literally same guy, same car, was about a 10th faster on nitrous with the Kuntz. And he was running 440s. No kidding. Yeah, it was crazy. That all that Kuntz. Well, I mean, they're comes the Fords. They're the guys.
They were the leader back in the day, man. I don't know about now, but they were.
They were. Yeah, but that I would look at that raised runner. I don't know if they still cast it. I'm sure they do, but it's definitely a raised runner Kuntz.
I've seen them with the name on the side of them. I've seen them before recently. So they were like, wasn't the original R high port? Wasn't it like 240 or something?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. Thanks, R-Dub. Appreciate it.
See that head of the profiler head. I did that head for him. So what we did, Mike sent me a casting, and I hand ported a 205cc port.
That was a 20 degree.
Yeah, like the one that you had.
Yeah.
But the one you had was CNC.
Yep.
But I did a hand port, and it was 205 cc's. I sent it back to Mike, and they put that port in the core boxes. So that head flowed like 320 out of the box with a 2055 valve in it. And then I took that head after he did that and made it bigger, and it was like 240, and that's the program that Terry has now. And then
it came from LGM or something. I remember.
Yeah. See, I had sent it to them because they made a set of rockers for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Eric says, Chad, do you think it'd be worthwhile to try to do a set of KF?
I don't know what that is.
I don't know either. Get back to us. Now we're coming up on 3 hours and still 190 people here, which is a great turnout. I'm telling you, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
That's a question for Jeff. Jeff, you better take that LS question. I've got Rick's program. It's called Induction Logic, and it's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely, positively. It is awesome.
That's what you were talking about, the cam thing.
Yeah, I think he had some health issues, and then he wasn't selling it for a while. And then I had something happen to mine, and I had to get a new lock key. And he said the groceries were getting too expensive, and he was going to start offering it again. I'm like, that's cool, and it works. And I know a lot of the big camp got because it nails it.
Nope.
But I really like how it uses velocity. I'm trying to get it to Darin. Darin got a copy from him, and he couldn't get a hold of him. And I can't get it on a drive, so his file's too big. So I need to figure out how to do that. But yeah, it's a good program.
Thanks, Mike. We appreciate you helping us out with that one. I don't know if you want to get in this. Chad, do LS cathedral ports make more power if you were to employ the same techniques on them as you do a set of small block supersonic heads, Chevy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, though, they run with each other, but I don't think the cathedral port would take as much work to get it there. That Edelbrock takes a lot of work. Here's how dumb they are. I'll not say it. They're dumb. They approved a casting that has to be 172 cc's, and it's 180 out of the box. They approved a casting that you can only run a 184, 194, or 202 valve, and they put a 200 seat ring in it. 200.
Yeah.
So if you valve job it for a 194, you got about 100,000 step all the way around the top of that valve job. because the seat's too big.
Wow.
The 194 heads, the head was actually a Edelbrock RPM Performer. So the throat is sized for a 202. So it's already too big for a 194 or a 184. This is what they approved. This is what we have to work with. So all it's doing is making people spend way more money than they need to.
Crazy that they would do that.
I know.
Knowing that that's the limit for the rules for the system.
So when we try to get this profile or porter score, we sent them one, and they didn't want to do it because they're like, oh, you can't port them. What? You're thinking of stock. So how much money would that have saved the guy if you could put a program in a porter score,
right?
Put it in a CNC machine? Not only would it come out 100% metal, it'll flow more air because you're not flowing over plastic, and you would have a cheaper head, a better head that would never crack. And you want more people in the sport in super stock. Think about it.
It's a no-brainer, man.
People, man.
The frick.
But they said nope.
You know what it is? It was probably cheaper to do that, and that's why they did it. They saved $5.
Yeah.
You got to see this one. What's your cat's name?
This one's Peaches. This one's Peaches, and we a little story. This is Peaches, and I have another one that's named Bay. These cats are 12 years old. Got them on the same day from a box at the food store. Okay, so we live out in the country, and I have a problem. If there's one hanging around, I'll feed it. Well, we had a problem with they kept showing up. They kept getting pregnant.
Word spreads.
Yeah. So this cat has been living in the shop for about 2 years because it got pissed off because we had a bunch of babies in the house. The other cat, this is no lie. The other cat, one summer, 2 years ago, I'm out front and Bay's laying out there flapping his tail. My neighbor's mowing the lawn. Comes walking over. He goes, "Is that your cat?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's Bay." "Why?" "Oh, well, because last night I went to bed and it was laying in my bed. It slept with me." He moved in with my neighbor. He literally moved in with my neighbor. And
what a traitor, man.
Yeah. I had to go get some medicine the other day down at right here on the highway, the vet's right down the street.
Yeah. So
I'm down there and I said, "Brandon," I go, I don't know. I got a cat problem down there. And he goes, "Yeah, you keep feeding him, don't you?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I go, "Yeah." I pissed off my one cat that moved out. And he goes, "Bay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, how do you know?" He goes, "I know the story." My vet.
Word travels fast around that town, man.
Yeah, but this is Peach. Peach is a good cat. I got cats all over. The other one, when I'm up at the house, the white one will be crawling all over me when we're on the other.
My dog would love them.
Yeah.
Ryan Carmichael says, exhaust port. What do you want to see there? Small exhaust valve versus larger exhaust valve?
I think I definitely think you can have too small a valve. And I think that was one of the things we ran into with the 23 degree that made 915 because I put a 2180 in it. So I had to really shrink it to a 1550. And but it peaked at 8,200. And it was a 462. Yeah. But yeah, no, so what I do, here's what I do. And everybody's so gaga happy on flow numbers for an exhaust. They really aren't telling you anything. I mean, it's kind of false. I will literally turn on the flow bench. I will turn off the electronics and I'll flow the port and I'll listen to it. And if it cracks at say 100, then I need to do more work. It got a real nasty, shitty sound. A really good exhaust port's quiet, really quiet. I've been doing the exhaust ports the same way that Darin explained it to me, a certain percentage at the exit, pitot tube right dead center, looking for velocity.
Yep.
Because I'll tell you right now, like the super stock heads, I've literally had engine builders question me on it. On a good day, they flow 195. But what they don't realize is the throat is like 94%. And the throat will kill it because what it does is it changes the approach to the short side.
Okay.
So think about it. A smaller one, you got more material, you know, you got a better approach. They're like this when you weld up the exhaust, they're like that. So it kills it. But they make more power because let's face it, you got to get it out. But you definitely never want the situation where the exit is smaller than the throat. You know what I mean? So and the easiest thing to do on an exhaust port to get the flow more is make it bigger. I see that a lot. Now, okay, if you're running nitrous, you know, they want it because they want to get it out. But I think a lot of times, you know, the people get too wrapped up in the flow number on the, you know, I don't even know. There's a couple CNC heads I have. I don't even know what they flow. It doesn't matter. I mean, they were quiet, you know, a good 45 radius seat or a 50 or a 55 or whatever you're going to put on it. And I think on the exhaust side, probably even more so than the intake side, that the math is really the only thing you can go by, because you're not cracking it off the seat at 1400 degrees. Think about how many times on and off the seat that thing is at 10,000 RPM or 8, I mean, it's a shit ton. How is that freaking flow bench going to tell me anything? It ain't. It's not.
Plus, add the heat involved with it now.
Yeah,
and
what is
atmospheric pressure?
Yeah, what is heat? Heat is an accelerator.
Right.
So why do you want a big throat? Because you got 1400 degrees.
Expansion, you know?
Exactly. So if you think about it and what it wants rather than what it flows, you know, it's going to end up looking different, you know?
So Ryan, I just put up in the members only video, the exhaust port work that Darin did on the APD 16 degree. So watch that because he talks about a lot of this. So if you didn't see it yet, I just put it up a couple hours ago before we started this. So a lot of information in there. Thanks.
Yeah.
Let's see. I've wondered this too. Chad, what kind of quarter mile times will your car lay down?
The index, so I'm at altitude. So like the closest track I have, the index is actually 1025, but with the factor, it's 1040. So I honestly, if it ran right at a second under, I'd be happy as hell. I don't really want to go any faster than that because I don't want to go through all the grief of tearing it apart because I'm not so sure I could get it sealed up in the trailer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, 940 at altitude, 925 would be a hell of a lick. You know, and they're running 100 and see these cars. The crazy thing about these cars is these cars will match horsepower to mile an hour, but the cars usually run 2,500s, 3/10 faster than even the mile an hour. And the reason being is because of the ceramic bearings, the low friction transmission. I mean, my transmission, I've got a video of it on my YouTube. You can take the input shaft and wing it, and it just says it rolls.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, I just put a new bolt together, a converter in it that's 7 pounds lighter than the welded up one. Okay. I just put a billet flywheel in it that's 2 pounds lighter than the steel. So all that stuff is what makes them run faster than, you know, and another thing that makes them, if these cars don't 330 or 8 or 60 foot, they're not fast. You know, so this car, when everything's done, said right, it weighs right at 3,000 pounds. It'll 123, 124, 60 foot in the air and probably on the back tire. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. Thanks, Eric, for asking that question. I was eventually going to get to it.
Yeah.
We're kind of, let's see what we have here. I said, we'll probably only talk for about an hour. Probably an hour, Chad, maybe an hour and a half. Now
I told my wife, I'll see you in an hour. Have dinner ready. So if you're watching, honey, sorry.
Blame it on DragBoss. But now we're at like 3 hours and 10 minutes. So I'll kind of go back through here and see, run down through some of these. Hello, I'm watching your lives in Belize. Well, thank you. We appreciate you and enjoy that sunshine there. Joel says the cheating bastard used slag for media.
Yeah, exactly.
So there you go. Interesting. This is a question, Jeff. You can take care of the LS questions. This is kind of interesting here. I think that's Danny Sat, maybe. He says, what Would there be gains to radius out one or two of the bottom angles on a 5-cut seat at the short side radius and cylinder wall side to give a straighter line of shot for flow past valve at low lifts, 23-degree? Great chat.
Yeah. So if I do a set of, say, V factors and I valve job it,
Yep.
yeah, you're, on one side of the valve job, you're going to be into the 60. And on the short side, you're going to be into the 60. When you go to the other wall, you're going to see all of the 60. But normally, in all honesty, when it's all said and done and you're right, those 5 angles might turn into 4, maybe 3, because the bottom 2 are for sizing anyway. So you'll never look at one of my valve jobs and see all 5 angles. If you see it, personally, I don't think I've blended it enough.
Okay.
So I know there's a lot of guys that, and I think that comes down to style and what you like. And a lot of guys don't like blending that much. It's fine. But what I found, why I think everything's rough, and the reason being is because really the way it all started was there's really no magic there. The magic in rough blending is when you use a cartridge roll, you're taking the chance of knocking a sharp edge not sharp. So think about it. So when you use a burr, you're burring it, you're putting
up, you're bringing them up. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of the reason, but yeah, they're the valve. And actually, what's funny, and I've actually got some pictures. I could probably find them and post them. But if you can literally, if you got a good CNC guy that knows how to program, I've literally, some of my heads I get, you can literally see when he cuts the seat where it's ground, where it's a different color from him digitizing my hand formed seat. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. So you can literally see where when I go in there after I get it back from CNC and I cut it, you can literally see that side will have the 2 angles. I just got to rough it up right to it and I'm done. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'll send you some of those pictures too. But you can clearly see plain as day where it gets blended from a CNC. Yeah.
Now, is that something like an offset valve job where there's more, do you know what I'm talking about? There's more cuts on one side versus the other?
Yeah. So basically you'll see more cuts on the back.
Yeah.
And on the long wall, and then on the short side, and you'll be into it. And it's just basically what you're doing is you're helping it turn the air.
Sure. Yeah, I can dig that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Danny. Tom asks, say a head that has an apex laid back as far as possible and as wide as possible. The head is design limited. It still backs up at high lifts. How much will you overlift the valve after flow drops?
So like for a camshaft, I don't know, man. I keep working on it. I mean, I don't know. I've never seen a head that stopped flowing and then put more cam in it to make up for it. I mean, you could get like more crank degrees to use more flow, more area. I get that. But if it's laid back as far as possible, I mean, the only way you'd really know if it's laid back too far is if you've lost low numbers. If you start losing low numbers, you're either too low or too laid back, and if you're not losing low numbers, then it's got to be in the valve job. And actually, top cut, I see that a lot, it shows great on a flow bench. Guys will go in there with their goddamn cup, you know what I'm talking about, like cutters that have like and they'll go in there and they'll go all the way and they'll dig a trench in that bitch. I hate that with a pat. Don't do that. It'll flow more air. I promise you it'll flow more air, but you want that valve job to be an extension, just like that. It's what you want. All the way up to the deck. Both sides. You can do it. So that's where I would look. If I got a head that isn't too laid down, too far low, and if it's too low, like I said, if it's too low, you lose low flow numbers. So you know what you do? You put a wing on the floor. Think about that big 3.0 head. Okay? The port is a 900 off deck to get all. It flows 370 CFM up top, 23 degree. Flows 305 at 500. I got the best of both worlds because I'm using that wing to help with putting the fuel back in. Literally, I'm not kidding you. You can put that head on a flow bench. You can put it at 40 inches. You can get a squirt bottle of Dicam alcohol. I can squirt it right just like this in front of the port. Where that wing's on the floor, you can see the Dicam go in and do this and then go a twist.
Really?
And then on the back of the port, on the back of the short side, it's just like this. Both sides of that stream's on both sides of that floor main. Right in the center. Not over here. Why are you working on your floor? Why do you want your floor the same? Because you want it right. You don't want it like that, So yeah, I mean, I check that top cut versus what the layback is of the chamber. All of the 23 degree stuff, all those V factors, all have a 40 degree top cut.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, 40 with a 45 or a 50 seat, depends.
Darin was emphasizing today in that video I put up for the members on the exhaust, coming down from the combustion chamber. You never want it straight down. It should be going down here, not like this. If you got this, you got problems.
Yeah.
Like you said, the extension, it needs to go like not down.
Yeah, it needs that gentle curve. And that's what's wrong with, and that's what's wrong, and it bothers the shit out of me. Never touch the floor. Never touch the floor. If you raise a floor too tall on the exhaust, you got a short port. What are you going to do to that short side? It's exactly what you're doing.
Right.
Exactly what he said. And it don't move any air and it sounds like shit. So you lower that floor, you pull that back, you get that gentle brake.
Mm-hmm.
You can get them too tall.
Shelton Barr says the 7721s you did for Wesley worked out great. Thank you.
They really did. Yeah, they really did. He ran really well with that. Really well. That was you know what? That's probably, in all honesty, my favorite short side in the whole world. On that 77.
Yeah.
It is beautiful. It is.
Eric says, Chad has some of the neatest tooling. I love his valve seat runout gauge and the sweep gauge for checking rocker arm sweep to set up push rod length.
Yeah, that was an old. I used some epoxy, and then I know Terry. Terry makes a really nice one now. He's gonna have to send me one of those. But there's a lot to be learned, and making sure your sweep is correct.
Mm-hmm. I got one over here sitting down. You already saw.
Yeah, they're awesome. That's awesome.
R-Dub, thank you. Thanks, Tim. Keep up the good work. Thanks, Chad, also. Joel says, I did an intake port in a twisted wedge R head. It flowed 400 at 800. If I used an onset dowel, it flowed 438.
Yeah, that wedge R head was.
Man,
I don't see many. I used to see them about 10 years ago. I'd see a bunch of them, but I don't hardly ever see them anymore. I think now everybody's doing the 15 degree because everything price caught up.
Yep.
Just go straight up to the, bigger, better, more powerful.
It's a budget now.
Yeah.
No Biden says, I have aluminum Windsor heads 2017 that have the raised intakes about 3/8 with a double egg-shaped combustion chamber, 65 cc. The lower bolt surface is knurled. I don't know who makes them. Okay. Me either. Chad, do you have a program for the, I don't know what that is, bilingual?
I don't know.
101. Come on, Tim. Hook us up. We'll see if he's got it.
I had a lot of programs. What
the hell happened? So you have the CNC with 47 programs in it. So where the hell did they go?
Okay, so they're still on the machine. And one of the deals, when he told me he sold the machine, I told him that I don't want to leave the V factors on there because I think I have them sold. So he literally put them on something that Terry could read to get them on there. Well, what happened was Jason wasn't very old, and his wife was a school teacher, and she was also a missionary.
Okay.
So she would go out of country. He started going out of country with her. I think he fell in love with it. I think he thought that was his calling. Awesome. Okay. Great. Yeah. Good. Good reason to shut down. Okay. Yeah. Supposedly they're supposed to be programs that are on the machine are supposed to, I don't know. I get mixed conflicting. I don't know if I own them, he owns them, the machine owns them. Yep. You know, I don't know. I just know he gave me the V Factor stuff. I actually sold the V Factor stuff to him. I sold the Ford to Terry and Sheldon. The 13-degree profiler you get straight from Profiler now is my program. It's the program that made over 1,000. I sold that program to Mike, and they put it in all the castings now. So those were the three that I really didn't want to. And the reason it just being is because of my relationship that I had with Profiler. You know, I've done a lot of work for Profiler. I mean, I you know, when after Darin left, Mike was sending me a bunch of stuff, you know, but the other stuff I wasn't too worried about. It's just those were kind of my heart, you know.
Yeah. It's tough when you all the time. Just think about all the time that, you know, and now they're in limbo or whatever, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and there towards the end, you know, he was a CNC shop, but he didn't port heads. But he would get a guy, call him and say, "Hey, do you have a program for this?" He's like, "Yeah." And then he called me, "Hey, we need to do this." I'm like, "Okay." So I do a master form. I'd send it to him. Well, we were doing so much of that. It was like our barter system we were talking about before. I got to the point to where he didn't even charge me to digitize.
Wow. Okay.
I was at that point. I was at the point to where he took me to PRI 2 times. So I'm a one-man shop. So I was good. We you know, we did. And Jason was the most, I mean, he was a God-fearing man, most honest guy you'd ever meet in your life. You know, if he literally had somebody call and say, "Hey, I got a guy that's got a set of Blue Thunder heads. Can I use your program?" "Yeah, okay, I'll give you $200 credit." You know, stuff like that. You know, so that how could you beat a guy like that?
No, you can't. You know, it's like old school type stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, King, it's Izzy. That's my daughter. You're supposed to be in bed now. Get to bed. You got to get up early for school tomorrow. It's good to see you. Jeff says, "Thank you, Tim and Chad, $20.
Thanks, Tim. Jeff.
We appreciate that, Jeff. Thank you so much. I mean, there's we could keep going for hours. I mean, the questions are like nonstop. And
we can do it again anytime.
Well, that's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, we can do it again to where we don't have to go through all the openings.
Right, and talk about, you know, your history and stuff. Not that I didn't want to hear it, but I think it'd be a great idea. If you guys want to have Chad come back again, and we'll put a time limit on it, so we're not going 3 hours. We'll do it for an hour or 2.5, and we'll come back with that, and we'll kind of end it now because I don't want to, you know, he's got dinner ready, and I see there's.
And I got to pee.
Yeah, me too. And I see there's a whole bunch of questions, guys. So we're gonna end it there.
I have no problem with that. I have no problem.
Well, I'm glad you had a good time because I mean,
it was fun. It was fun.
Like it's fun talking about.
I had been thinking about it like every night. I'd lay in bed, like going through my head. How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? I'm like, you know what? The more I think about it,
baby.
Yeah, just freaking wing it.
You know, and I think it helps. Not that I know a lot about cylinder heads and airflow, but I know enough to talk and converse, and I get it. You know?
Yeah, and I think the thing that you really realize is, as much as you've talked with Darin, and you know his what he talks didn't go on deaf ears. You know, I mean, it hit home. I've been successful. I've made a living. I got a nice house. I got a super stock car. It worked. You know, and I'm the first guy to say that. And so any of those young guys out there that doubt it, don't doubt it. It works. It just works. And then, like we said, it's up to you to find your own technique, find your own way through, and I'm sure I do some things that he might look at and go, what'd you do there? Or I don't know. But it works. The math will never lie. There's just some things that just can't be changed. And
that's it.
The good thing is this is a hobby or a profession that the numbers aren't going to lie to you.
No, subjective data, and it's there, and you can reproduce it, and there you are.
Exactly right.
So, guys, I appreciate you being here. 3 hours. I think that's the longest live chat we had, actually.
It's awesome.
Darin, it's 3 hours and 25 minutes. So, thanks for coming by DragBoss Garage. I'll talk with Chad after this, and we'll set up another time where he can come back and we'll do just questions, because I think he enjoys it, and so do I.
Yeah, so, definitely.
And Force Fed, I see that you donated too. So, the money I'll offer to Chad. If he wants it, it's his. If not, we put it in the kitty, and it goes back to build the cars and do the stuff that we do here. So thanks, Force Fed. We appreciate you. Thanks, guys.